What's going on? I am Nando.
And I'm Diggins.
We did it again. And this is Mostly Nitpicking, a podcast where every week we pick apart a piece of pop culture by looking exclusively at the details.
Woohoo! Yeah, hooray!
Yeah, we're back, baby. Diggins has returned from his trip to some sort of steampunk alternate Victorian England. And since you have seen the movie League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, how was your trip? What details do you remember about it? Anything fun?
Yeah. Well, I was in a submarine, and I betrayed you.
That's correct.
And I made off with all of the diamonds?
No, maybe. There's a lot of crystals in the movie. There's
crystals. Crystal. I get those two words mixed up all the time. Diamond and crystal. Completely different minerals, but you know how it is.
I mean, the crystals in the movie function kind of like Burning Man crystals, where they can just kind of do whatever.
Right. You jack off with them, and then they have potent sexual energies.
That's exactly it, yeah. And you were the character in the movie who did that the most.
Who jacked off with the crystals the most?
That's what we assume you did in the submarine when you were by yourself. Even though you were not by yourself. You found out later there may have been some sort of invisible man in there, too, which doesn't make any sense. It's
who saw me jack off with the crystals?
Yep. It's upsetting for him, but I figure as an invisible man, he's walked in on a lot, you know?
Yeah, you probably do end up seeing... I mean, we would know more about this question if the movie we had watched this week was... seminal 2000s classic Hollow Man.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. Well, we got to save that one for DJ. I mean, we could have saved this.
We can't let DJ miss that.
Yeah, it was tough because I was like, what's a movie that I definitely don't want to like punish DJ with. So like Legends of the Guardians or Hollow Man or something like that. Like there's some that are kicking around in the like mostly nitpicking like bingo ball shaker thing that I don't want to use just yet.
Legends of Guardians, the Owls of Ga'Hoole, you mean?
Yeah, I think we have to save that for Snyder Cut time.
That's true, yeah. That's what we do before the Snyder Cut, to get ready.
Yeah, I've never seen it, but it seems like I've never seen... So I've never seen the Guardians, Owls of Ga'Hoole. I've also never seen Sucker Punch. I've seen everything else Zack Snyder's done, I think. And
all the music videos?
No, I guess that's not true. Most of the movies are music videos when you really get down to it.
Well, yeah, accurate.
But I've seen all of those, and I feel like I kind of know. I've heard enough people talk about Sucker Punch that I know what it is, what's wrong with it, kind of what what the vibe is. But I've never heard anybody talk about the Owl movie, so I feel like it could be anything, and I'm so curious that I want to kind of save that for when the Snyder Cut is released and everyone's got Snyder fever.
What if that's the secret good one?
Maybe. I mean, so I don't know if it has any stars. I can't remember hearing of any when this movie came out. And like, I don't know if Zack Snyder, on the back of 300, I guess they just gave him a blank check to make whatever movie he wanted. And he picked this Owls thing. And it's like, those usually don't work. Those like, Lady in the Water, kind of like, this is the story I've always wanted to tell. But maybe it's not bad enough that it's constantly brought up with the rest of his, movies. So maybe there's something about it that people like, or at least are like, let's pretend Zack Snyder didn't do this, so that we don't have to have it be part of the discourse.
Hugo Weaving is in that movie.
Ooh,
huh.
He's in a lot of stuff. Oh,
Helen Mirren, the mother of Shaw, Deckard Shaw in the Fast and Furious.
Oh
franchise.
Yeah, that's right. The matron Shaw herself.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and Richard Roxburgh is in it. Richard Roxburgh, as everyone knows, is in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Jeffrey Rush. This movie, David Wenham, Jim Sturgis, who I think is in the Cloud Atlas. Am I crazy? Yeah, the main guy from that. Another Wachowski joint. This is a who's who of people that you're like. Joel Edgerton. Wow, it's a weird. What a cast.
As Metalbeak.
Yeah, that sounds right. I wonder if they probably didn't get to pick their names. Is it based off a book or something? It's based off of novels by Catherine Lasky. Listen, we will really dive into this because I do think there's got to be a ton of bizarre owl lore that we can cover in that episode. But
yeah, it's must be like knockoff Redwall, right?
Something or like remember they made that movie about a pigeon in World War I? I don't remember what it was called, but it was like a CGI movie.
I do not recall this, no.
It was like about some sort of pigeon that carried messages or something, and he was the greatest hero pigeon that ever was. And I feel like there was a point where we were just
it's
like...
not a high bar. How many hero pigeons have there been?
Oh, gosh. Well, there were those 3 that were mafiosos on the Animaniacs, and they're coming back, maybe. So,
well, they only promised Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain.
I mean, what is Animaniacs without the good feathers and their hijinks of sitting on wires and yelling at each other or whatever the hell those ones were.
Everybody's favorite bits from the Animaniacs, like the dog and the small child, or or Slappy Squirrel, or Minerva Mink.
I remember the squirrel, the dog and the small child. I kind of remember. I feel like
it's like Buttons and Mitten or something.
That sounds right. Yeah, that sounds. I think you're right. And then the good feathers, and then that's it. No Warner Brothers, no Pinky, no Brain. I think it's weird that they announced it without Pinky and the Brain today, but hey, I don't know. I don't know what the plan is with this. I used to like Animaniacs when I was very young, but I don't know. Maybe it'll be cool. Maybe everyone will love it. I've said I've said worse things about things that I ended up liking a lot more. Like Into the Spider-Verse or Watchmen on HBO, and so you never know. Speaking of a thing that I've said dumb things about, so this week we are doing a movie that I've never seen. I don't think I ever had an opinion on, but as a huge Speed Racer fan, I always knew it was kicking around in the ether of Wachowski movies. We're doing a movie. We're going to talk about a movie called Jupiter Ascending. Which I bet was the first in what was considered or what was planned to be a long line of Jupiter movies or something.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I have a feeling there's a napkin with the whole Jupiter story written out, but we'll never know. But Diggins, eagle-eyed listeners may have noticed that one member of the mostly nitpicking crew is not here. That member is Dennis DJ, the J Money Quibby Sandwich Man Chapman.
That's his full legal name.
Yep, it's been a big couple of weeks, can you explain where DJ is, Diggins?
Right. Well, I believe he may have mentioned last week that he was going to be getting married. Which was a big thing. I was actually present for the ceremony. It was very nice. Until about halfway through, when they were exchanging the vows, some kind of dog man broke into the church and told DJ that his bride was only marrying him to inherit all of his vast space empire and was going to kill him.
I knew it.
Yeah. So DJ left with the dog man, and I think now he's having space adventures in his vast intergalactic space empire.
Do you think he's also kind of into the dog man as well?
They didn't say anything, but I caught a longing glance, and I felt like there was a bit of a spark there. So I think things could develop. I don't want to speculate on DJ's love life, but
good for him. And it's a shame because he's going to have to miss a movie that he'd probably have a lot to say about.
Right,
because it actually mirrors the situation that he was just in. It's certain points.
It was kind of weird. That was actually where I got the idea to do Jupiter Ascending.
Yeah.
Because I saw that and I was like, this is a lot like the movie Jupiter Ascending.
Yeah, the dog man. And what was the dog man, did he look like a dog, or did he mostly look like a man?
I mean,
If he didn't tell you he was a dog man, would you know?
He looked more like a dog than the bee man looked like a bee.
The bee man. Yeah, I was really waiting for some sort of reveal with him.
Some sort of bee veal.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What is it with bees in movies with like animals and human women, you know? First you got bee movie and then you got this. And then bees and are in love with the people. I don't know. We got some stuff to unpack as a society. But
about bees and our feelings towards them.
Yes, about some sort of cross-species relationship that is not necessarily bee related, but is at least bee adjacent. And we will cover that and much, much more, talking about the Wachowskis, the biggest, I don't know, I don't want to say flop. I'm sure it was a flop, but
I'm not sure. I think it was financially a pretty big flop.
Yeah. I don't know.
I know it was a critical flop.
Yeah, compared to having seen all of their... Have you seen all of their movies? Which is the 3 Matrix movies, Speed Racer, this Cloud Atlas?
I haven't seen Cloud Atlas.
Oh, so like this and Cloud Atlas, I think, get lumped together every so often as like the 2 bad ones. And I think Cloud Atlas has some really weird parts, including Chinese Tom Hanks or whatever, which like looks as bad as it sounds. But I think there's enough good stuff about Cloud Atlas that I do kind of like it, and like I can go back and watch it and enjoy it. And I almost think, even though it's like a tale told around lots of time and whatever, it's kind of more of a complete movie than this. So I would say out of all of my Wachowski movies, this is my least favorite. But I don't know.
But
That's
you're
me.
a certified Wachowski stan, though.
I am, except I tried so hard as I could to get into the Sense8, the show that they made on Netflix about like orgies mostly, from what I understand, and I just couldn't. I don't know. I don't know what it is about that, but otherwise, yes, I will follow the Wachowskis to hell and back. I'll see whatever they put out in a movie, and I'll give this a shot. Like, I know they're doing Matrix 4, so like that'll be great. I'm excited for that. But yeah, and I'll defend the Wachowskis till I die. But this is not. This is their biggest public misstep besides Chinese Tom Hanks. Which do you know what I'm talking about with Chinese Tom Hanks?
No.
Oh man, look up Cloud Atlas Chinese. Let me see if Chinese Tom Hanks gets you anything. Yeah, so I don't know if he's supposed to be Chinese or whatever, but
Or did they CGI Tom Hanks to look like he was Chinese?
I don't know what they did. It could have been prosthetics. I'm going to send you an article. Oh my god, this has so many paywalls. Never mind, I'm just going to send you a picture. And this, so like Cloud Atlas, and maybe someday we'll do this, because I do think this movie it's quite weird, but it's about a story told over time and space and whatever. And at one point, we go into the future, and yeah, there's like a Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is in all the times, and when we see him in, oh, maybe this isn't Tom Hanks. Maybe this is another character. But either way, this is a white guy. I think, yeah, this is Jim Sturgis. So, a guy you'd recognize. And yeah, they made him up to look like this. It's yeah. So, but take that away. I think you've got Cloud Atlas is quite a fun movie, and honestly, you can just ignore big parts of it. There's probably an edit without all this because it's all kind of vignettes. But yeah, I think I look back on that one kind of fondly every so often. But yeah, we're going to talk about Jupiter Ascending. Diggins, besides that, how have you been recently?
Oh, well, I just got back from the submarine, charging up all the jack-off crystals, betraying you, all that. Other than that, I've been okay. It's not a lot about my life changes, which I'm sure is true for most people living in the United States right now.
And a lot of other places, apparently, as of late.
Many of the other places, their life has started changing again, but not us.
I have heard that they are starting to change back. in a bunch of the other places to the way that we are. The world is stupid, but New Zealand's got it together.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, they're set. Although Australia, not so much. So be surprised. You're kind of like, well, I just want an island. Let me get an island. But even Australia can't do it. I don't know. That's what I hear.
Australia's
from
a big
Australians.
island, though. Maybe you just need a small island.
Yeah. And, I mean, there's that fight island where they do wrestling. I don't know how that's been going. The NBA bubble went pretty well, all things considered, looking back. So we could do it.
A single case.
Nope. And they had plenty of people that tried to break the bubble quarantine by trying to. I forget. One guy went to a strip club or something, and they came down and were like, "No, you've broken the rules." And so you could do it. It could be done.
Yeah, you just need to get a billionaire to have a direct financial stake in your health and well-being, and then you'll be fine.
Uh-oh. That doesn't sound good. I feel like if we were going to get the problem solved with that, would have happened by now with a lot of other problems, but it's fine. It's great. But yeah, not too much is new with you.
How about you, Nando? What's up with you?
Not too much is new with me either. I've spent a lot of time recently doing things that will be recommendations. So enjoying different media, very strange ones. Not super strange, but not. I don't know if there's a thing this week, but it's not that. It's something else.
Right. The majority of my weekend will also be in my recommendations.
Yeah. So that's fine. And you know what? This would be too, except maybe not. Because we just watched a movie called Jupiter Ascending. It was made by, like we said, the Wachowskis. This was I don't know if this was I wouldn't say this, but I think Speed Racer was their blank check after Matrix, which is great, but, wasn't super popular.
Speed Racer was 2008, right? This was 2015. So.
That's right. And I think Cloud Atlas was 2012. So, yeah, this movie... Yeah, it came out in 2015, February of 2015. There used to be a time when that was a bad thing. Now February, now it's nothing. But it used to be that you dump a crappy movie in February. But
now it's just January.
Yeah, and even then you find a gem or two. So it's directed by Lily and Lana Wachowski, written by Lily and Lana Wachowski. It stars Mila Kunis, Channing Tatum, Sean Bean, Eddie Redmayne, etc.
Oh, does it ever star Eddie Redmayne?
Yeah, and it's a weird one. Diggins, I'm excited to see you try to give me the IMDb summary for this.
Oh boy,
because it's pretty.
I should have been more prepared for this.
This one, yeah, I don't necessarily think out of all of the IMDb summaries this is the worst one, but as a movie, this is one of the more complicated movies I think we've ever covered. So any time, I'll give you this. How about this? No character names, and it's one sentence. It's a long sentence, but
okay. Here's my try.
Okay.
A young girl's life changes forever after a genetically engineered dog man saves her and tells her that she is space royalty.
You had a really strong start there with young. My eyes lit up because I was like, oh, is he going to do it? And then it kind of didn't happen. Here we go.
I did my best.
A young woman discovers her destiny as an heiress of intergalactic nobility and must fight to protect the inhabitants of Earth from an ancient and destructive industry. That's about it, I guess. That's what the movie is. This is the worst IMDb summary I've ever seen. Yeah, no mention of the Dogman, though. That was the part I found kind of surprising.
The Dogman's very important.
Yeah. There's big chunks of the movie that are just kind of him. And I guess not just him, because it's Mila Kunis related, but he's a character all on his own. He's not just a dog man either. He's got other parts too, kind of, which become revealed over time. And It's so complicated. Yeah, this movie came out in 2015, relatively unsuccessful. I think you said it had a pretty bad Rotten Tomatoes score.
It's got like a 27 on Rotten Tomatoes, and it did financially, it did fairly poorly. It didn't even make back its budget, even including international.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the cumulative worldwide was 183 million, and the budget was estimated to be 176 million. But when you factor in marketing and stuff like that, that is less. That is much less than what it made, or much less than what it cost to produce. And I see why. I completely get it. There's something, yeah.
You gotta. You gotta be into a certain style to like this movie.
Dark triangles and rollerblades. That's the style, and they nailed it.
They 100% nailed it.
Have you seen the poster for this movie, by the way?
I probably have in my life. I don't recall it specifically right now.
I'm looking at it now, and it's so funny how much ground this movie covers. How much like globe trotting and like literal trotting of many globes is done over this movie that like it's just like so bizarre. You know what else is surprising? How much Jupiter's a part of it. I was shocked that Jupiter came up at all, because Jupiter, as we find out early in the thing, is the main character's name. Her name is Jupiter Jones, but yeah, it also takes place on Jupiter. What did you think of this movie, Dickens? How about this? You've never seen it before we watched it the other day, like today.
No, I've been curious for a while because I've heard so many things about this movie, but I had never seen it until I watched it for this podcast.
What have you heard about it?
I heard that it was divisive, that some people love it for being like really campy and ridiculous, and other people like just couldn't stand it. And that Eddie Redmayne's performance is bananas.
Yeah, I think I'm right in the same boat there. I think I had always heard that Eddie Redmayne is kind of the redeeming quality of this movie, and the rest is a lot of business. Not even literally and figuratively. It's just a lot of like, this is this, and this is this, and this is these people, and blah 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 blah. I had not seen it before either, even though I am a big Wachowski stan, and it's about what I expected. I think if it was more campy, even just a little more, if it turned it from 4 to 5, this would be something that people care about more. I think it was just short of that.
I think it would be like a bigger like cult hit than it is if it was campier. Like I think it still wouldn't have done well like financially.
Oh no, yeah.
But people would. I mean, there's still a fairly strong segment of people who look back on this movie pretty fondly. Mm-hmm. But I think that would have been like a bigger contingent.
Yeah, I feel like
a little bit farther.
I think it could have gotten like that Cats kind of territory where it's just everyone knows it's weird and everyone knows why, and sometimes you get drunk or whatever and you watch it with your friends and you're like, it's a good time. But besides Eddie Redmayne's performance, I don't think any other actor is completely there. Oh wait, that's not true. But most of the actors aren't. There are some side characters that are really going for it. I would say, if anything, this movie is at least, maybe if not made for a specific community, made for that specific community curious.
No. You don't
think so?
They would have gone way more all out if it was for them.
I think this was as much as they could get away with at this moment in time in 2015. Especially when I think the movie gets more this adjacent, and we'll touch on it once we get there as the movie goes on, especially considering one character in a spaceship, very late in the game, that it's like a background character, and I'm like, whoa. This guy looks weird. Like if they were all like him, this would be a completely different thing.
I think that community would think that Mila Kunis in this movie is a coward.
Yeah, I think So this movie, let's start here. This movie is called Jupiter Ascending, right? It's like, it's a couple of things. One of them is it's kind of Cinderella and kind of Beauty and the Beast. It mentions both of those movies at points, I think, or like stories. Definitely mentions Beauty and the Beast at least once.
No, you're right. It mentions Cinderella at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then Beauty and the Beast towards the end.
So yeah, you got your Jupiter Jones, played by Mila Kunis. What's her deal?
She's just your average American Joe, except she's an illegal Russian immigrant. She works at like a cleaning service with her mom and her aunt for her uncle, cousin, something.
I think uncle, but like kind of with her cousin, or like the cousin maybe is part of the organization, but yeah.
The only thing anyone says about that side of the family is cousin, but I think they all say it, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on there.
Yeah, I couldn't decide what their deal was.
I guess if the owner of the business is her mom's cousin, then his kids are still her second cousins, so they could all just be cousins.
That makes sense. And she is she's down on her luck, but not like really. I mean, she's not happy with her place in life. She does the thing. I don't know if maids do this and stuff, but she always pretends to try on the clothes of the rich people she's like cleaning house for. She dreams of being a princess, just as Cinderella before her.
Or she dreams of not waking up at 4:45 in the morning and cleaning toilets all day, at least. Which, you know what, fair.
Yeah, I get it. It's like, and living in a room with two other family members, but she's from. Everybody else in her family speaks with a very thick Russian accent. Mm-hmm. She has none of that.
Well, we discover early in the movie when she's telling the story of how her parents met that she was born during the boat ride to America. So she's basically only ever lived here.
That's true. Forgot about the boat. Yeah, where they wash their hands with vodka.
And she gives birth standing up for some reason.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, Russians, there are a lot of things. They're tough people. That's what they say. Zangiefs all around. And, actually, let's go back a step. What's the deal with their parents? Who are her parents?
So her parents are two Russians, although I guess one is the son of an English diplomat, so maybe he's not Russian. I don't know. Yeah. He lives in Russia. Who met when her mom was walking home one night and saw him just like standing by the banks of the Neva, I think is how you pronounce that river. Like looking through a telescope up at the stars and being like, yo, stars are cool.
Yeah.
She thought that was hot. So.
And then they got pregnant immediately.
Yeah, and then it looked like he was going to convince her to name their daughter Jupiter by going down on her.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's what that scene was going for.
I do think, I think that's right. But what happened right at that moment, at that very, very pivotal moment in their lives?
Well, a band of extremely well-armed and armored robbers burst into their apartment. And I thought this was going to be some deeper thing, like they were going to be involved in something that came up in the movie. But no, they're just like a really weirdly militarized band of robbers. Yeah,
I agree. It seemed like someone had some destiny, the dad or the mom, and they're passing it down, and it's like, this is a warring something. But no, they're just there. And they're just robbers that come to take some things, like, whatever's in the apartment. And then the dad gets upset because they're stealing. One of the things they're stealing is his fancy golden telescope. And
his fancy brass telescope.
Yes.
Which makes me wonder why they would want it. Like, you later find out that it's like an antique telescope that is very valuable, but like I really doubt this like smash and grab band of robbers knows that.
And then the dad is like, "Oh no, leave the telescope, leave the telescope." And then they take it and they shoot him and he dies. And in my head, I'm like, oh, so the telescope's something. It's got the coordinates to something in it or something, and the dad's an alien or whatever. And it turns out the telescope's just a telescope he liked a lot, was willing to, like, put his life on the line to save.
He just loves the stars that much.
And he doesn't think you can get it. They don't make telescopes, and maybe
no, there's only the one. There's only the one in the world.
In
it's
the
a
80s,
well-established fact.
I really feel for the wife trying to explain that to people. Maybe you even leave that out, and you're like, they came in and they shot him, and then they took all his things, and he didn't plead for his stupid telescope or anything like that. They was shot immediately. And then we just get right into it, and she's Cinderella. What do you think of her intro characterization stuff? Do you like her character, the Jupiter Jones?
I mean, she's fine, I guess. I don't have a problem with her. I mean, it's like a very basic story beat where she's got like, especially in this kind of movie, she has bad life she doesn't like and wants something more. She's a basic Luke Skywalker type. Mm-hmm. Which I think is adequately conveyed. It's not, she's not too, whiny about it, but you understand, like, man, this sucks. I understand why she wants more.
Yeah. And because her name is Jupiter, that she will ascend eventually. Mm-hmm.
So she says that. She says she was born when Jupiter was ascendant.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because there's also some astrology bullshit. Now, I have no astrology anything. It took me till the very end of the movie when someone says something like that. She's like saying like, oh, I met a guy. And they're like, what's his sign? And I was like, oh, that's what that is. If you are a just person walking by this poster on the street, is that supposed to be your first thought? It's like Jupiter ascending. Oh, like astrology.
I don't know. I'm also not a very big astrology. Neither of us are gay, so we're not that into astrology. That's what they say. I don't mean that as like a dig. It's just like strangely true that the queer community at large is very into astrology.
Good for them.
Yeah,
the straight community at large is into just some dumb, terrible things. If we could trade those things for astrology, sounds awesome.
Hell yeah.
But I mean, the thing with astrology is every so often I will meet a person or tell somebody about a person. I have a friend who she's really into astrology, and like I go out with a girl or something and I mention it and she'd be like, oh, what's her sign? And I'll be like, I don't really know. I gotta think. And maybe I'll remember it. And I'll be like, oh, she's born in, whatever, January. And then the friend will be like, oh, okay, so what's her rising moon? And I'm like, how do you get this information from a person that's not you? I don't even know what my rising anything is. I don't know. You got to know
the time you were born. And then the way you find this out is you figure out the time you were born and the place, and then you tell this to your friend who's into astrology, and they will tell you all the other stuff.
That's good, because, I mean, I'm into it, and I'm into anything like that, in terms of, like, reading into things, like being like, oh, well, now I have information that probably doesn't matter that I can use to make decisions instead of making them myself. Be like, oh, we're not compatible. That's helpful to me.
I am desperate to offload as many decisions as I possibly can.
Exactly. And I as a child, I was part of the Beanie Baby generation.
Oh my God. I was home for a little while, I was at my parents for a little while. And they were like putting things together to donate. And my mom found my like 17 bags of Beanie Babies from when I was a child. She's like, can I donate these? And I'm like, yeah, I don't have any attachment to those things anymore. Go ahead.
Did you keep one? I feel like
my mom actually decided, because when she was putting it together, she like got memories of us going and buying them and me being all excited about them. And she was like, oh, I don't want to get rid of these. I'm going to go through them and pick some to keep, and then I'll donate them.
There you go. So, yeah, I think I'm in that boat. I don't know if I had that many, but I have a couple that are just in my, like, childhood bedroom. And they all happen to be from the Chinese Zodiac collection, which was pretty cool looking. And they just made all the Chinese Zodiac animals. And I don't know if I had all of them, but I had most of them. And I feel like there was this choice. I guess it wasn't a binary choice, but, like, as a child, because of this show, these Beanie Babies and the Jackie Chan adventures, it was like, do you want to get into, or do you want to be into, like, you know, the astrology as it's traditionally done on, like, newspapers, or do you want to get into the Chinese Zodiac? Ooh, and that's got all the cool animals that look cool, and Jackie Chan gets superpowers from them. The problem with that one is, if you're born in 1989, you are a snake, and that's the rule, and that's what everybody born in that year is. So what are we doing, guys? And I'm sure there's more to it than that, but I don't find that interesting. Like, that just, it's like, oh, are you compatible with the snake? Yeah, you're the same age. I don't know. I'm not compatible with the snake. I'm compatible with a rat, and that makes me, I have to date, like, someone 8 years older than I am? That's confusing. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but, yeah. Do you know what your Chinese Zodiac sign is?
I believe I was born in the year of the Ram.
That sounds right. Because I think it's... I was born in 1989. What year were you born in?
1991.
Yeah, so I think it's, like, snake.
Oh. Year of the sheep/goat/ram.
Yeah, I always found that distinction very, like, not fun. Snake is snake, dragon is dragon, and then it's like you can be one of the, like, I don't know, pick one, kind of. They're all similar, but not the same. Like,
yeah, they're all different animals. It's not like it's, like you're saying, like cow/bull, where it's like, okay, they're the same species, just the male and female are pretty different. Sheeps and goats and rams are all different things.
Yeah. I would be like, if someone was like, watch out, something's charging at you, I would have a very different response no matter, I'd be a little upset no matter what, but depending on which one of those three it is, I would react very differently. Be like sheep, I'd be like, oh, let's give it a hug. And the other ones, I'd have to figure out how fast I can run or how tall I can kick, because that's my one shot. I don't think I could do it. I'd try to hug them all. But yeah, that is a big tangent to wrap up the fact that I know nothing about astrology. This movie could be about astrology, and it sailed right over my head.
No, apparently I'm an idiot, and a ram is a male sheep, but a goat is still different. So
yeah,
I'll
goat's
hold on
super
to that.
different. Are rams? But rams are like, don't rams have horns?
Yeah.
Do all male sheep have, like, those horns?
I guess.
Huh. I feel like there's an image I have in my head of, like, the curly horns on a ram, and I'm pretty sure that's different from a sheep. If anything, I would guess that the ram is closer to a goat, because I feel like goats, well, no, I don't know. Any ram experts on the Friends of the Pod, tweet at nitpicking pod and let us know.
Oh, rams don't have to have horns.
Well, what are they ramming? I guess they have skulls. Sometimes they have really thick skulls like those dinosaurs. But any friends of the pod, let us know what your Chinese Zodiac sign is. And so we know if we can trust you. And then how you distinguish these. And if you had to pick one, which one is the best one. Because I like ram. It's a good... it was the Beanie Baby of these, was you would get a ram. And I remember because it had the horns, the swirly horns from the Rams football team.
Now, in addition to being born in the year of the ram, I am also an Aries, so I'm a double ram.
There you go. That's pretty good. Have you ever seen a ram in real life?
I've seen a sheep. Maybe one of them was male.
Did it give you a nod like Wolverine in the beginning of X2 sees a wolf and they're like, me and you are similar?
You know what? No, so I guess they were all female sheep.
Yeah, no, not the same thing. I'm a Pisces and the snake one, so I guess like an eel. I don't know. It's all above my head. It's great that people like it, and it seems fun, but it's one of those things, honestly, that in my life, it's like I have time for one of these two things. I have time on the toilet to read my horoscope or play Pokemon Go, and for right now, my life is Pokemon Go centric. If Pokemon Go went away, I could see horoscope being a thing I pay attention to.
Hear that here here first, folks. If you destroy Pokemon Go, then maybe Nando will get into astrology.
Yeah. If you're Niantic or whatever, and you want to like delete my whole account or something, or make my favorite one useless, which is, I don't even know which is my favorite one. Jolteon, maybe? I don't know. That's a great way to get me into astrology. And listen, I'm having a ball. I love Pokemon Go. I don't love it as much as I used to, because you don't go places anymore, but I do enjoy it. That being said, there is no Pokemon Go in Jupiter Ascending. Yeah, that's not true, actually. There's a lot of animals in Jupiter Ascending. None of them are quite Pokemon, but it's not un-Pokemon-esque.
I don't know. The dragon guys are kind of Pokemon-ish.
Oh, yeah, and the bees. I guess there are Pokemon that are just bees.
Right. There are Pokemon that are like Beedrill. It's just a bee.
Yeah, and then there's Combee, which is like a honeycomb that flies, and then there's female Combee, which is pretty much like a fancy version of Beedrill with like a dress on.
Yeah, Vespiquen.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, you got plenty of bee Pokemon, and there's plenty of dog Pokemon, elephant Pokemon, all the good stuff. But yeah, the dragons are definitely
Pokemon.
Oh yeah, that rat guy. And then alien Pokemon. You know there are there's a
Yeah, is there a better way to identify yourself as the evil villain man than having your like main advisor guy be a rat man?
Yeah. I mean, maybe this movie is based off of the Chinese zodiac. Hold on a second. Okay, we got dragons. We got rats. Never mind, no bees.
Yeah, there's no year of the bee.
Elephant? Is elephant one of them?
No.
Dog? We got dog.
There is a dog.
You gotta think of a couple others. I don't remember snake people. I don't remember horse people. Yeah, probably not. But still, this would have been a direction. Oh, but you know what? There is that woman with the big giant ears. I couldn't figure out what she was going for. Was she also elephant or mouse or what? You know what I'm talking about?
I know who you're talking about. I don't know what her thing was.
Yeah. So maybe she's like a snake, a big giant eared snake. So we can fill this in with the necessary animals. But yeah, so this movie is not unlike Pokemon Go. It stars Mila Kunis, like we said, and she's like Cinderella. And so she's going to interact with some aliens. Where to our wandering eyes does she appear, and where does that interaction happen, and why? Because I think that is fascinating as a plot point.
Oh, where she first meets the aliens, or where?
I guess the second place, but the first place is also really weird. I forgot about the first place.
Yeah, the first time she meets the aliens is she's hanging out with her friend, who only shows up in this scene, and otherwise it is not involved in the movie at all.
Yep. And is like, I don't know, I guess she's just a friend from friendship. Because she doesn't.
It's not really clear how they met. Because she's like a rich girl.
Super rich. And she's like, and Mila Kunis goes over to her house or like apartment or whatever, and she's like, I have a date. And she just takes off her clothes and starts hanging around in like lingerie and talking about dresses, but not putting them on. Yeah?
Yeah, they just like come over to each other's houses, strip, and then talk about what to wear for their dates.
It's the best. Mm-hmm. It made me think that character was going to matter, kind of. So it's kind of funny when she doesn't. And
especially considering what happens at the end of this scene, you're thinking like, oh man,
yes,
they're gonna like take her, and then it's gonna be like a thing.
But okay, so what happens in this scene? Because honestly, I saw this movie 2 days ago, and I kind of forgot how it plays out.
Okay, so there's what happens, and then there's why it happens.
Yeah,
and it took me a while to figure out why it happens.
Why does it happen?
Well, first let me say what happens. Sure. We're not confusing our dear listeners.
Oh, the dear listeners. By the way, if you are listeners, this movie is on Netflix, at least in the States. It's 2 hours long. I wouldn't say watch it because I think it's kind of boring. But
I think it's fun. I think it's worth the watch.
I would say it's a good, like, clean in the house, throw it on in the background kind of movie and, like, check in every so often. Because when the movie is
no. If you're more than 2 feet from that speaker, you're never going to hear Eddie Redmayne.
Yeah, definitely put the subtitles on and just, like, know that Eddie Redmayne becomes a part of stuff in a bigger way near the end of the movie. So get ready for that. But, yeah, he does pop up from time to time and whisper at you. Much like
whisper or shout. There are no intermediary steps.
Well, and his whispers aren't like whispers like a traditional whisper. It kind of sounds like the Tethered from Us. Like he's like coughing up words. It's like, smokes like 10 packs a day, but also like, I guess he has space goo, so he should have a very wonderful vocal cord from all the space. Like
maybe he was just born with fucked up vocal cords.
Hey, man.
Maybe it's in his genes.
Oh, genes. This movie, by the way, very much about the dignity of genetics and like how great all the genes are. And partially it's kind of like a bad thing. Like it's like these people that focus on genes and stuff is like, you know, a problem. But also it's kind of okay. It's almost like winning the genetic lottery is your way out. Which is a little strange. But anyway, so
right.
Back to that scene with the little aliens, yeah.
Right, yeah. So earlier we had seen some other aliens, including the dog man mentioned earlier, busting into a clinic and looking at someone's paperwork, then that person being named Catherine Dunleavy.
Yep.
And, you know, some vague implications that all of these people are hunting her for some reason.
Yeah, and the dog man can, like, smell her DNA or something.
Something to that effect.
Yeah.
So then So Catherine Dunleavy is Jupiter's friend. And while Jupiter is, like, going in the closet to look at her clothes to give her better advice, a bunch of other aliens who look like your standard little gray men aliens, but with sharp teeth, bust in invisibly and like put like floating restraints on Catherine, and then scan her for her DNA, and it comes up red, and they're like, rawr, rawr.
And then Jupiter takes a picture of them on her phone, but doesn't delete it or anything, apparently. And they're not prepared for this, but they do neuralize her, like in Men in Black. But they don't have any curiosity about her in that moment, which is their biggest mistake, I think. If they were just like, yeah, let's see.
Yeah, how do they know which one of them is Catherine Dunleavy?
Right? Maybe they went on her Instagram or whatever this was in 2015.
But, I mean, if they know what Instagram is, then how come they don't also know to erase the picture on her phone?
Right, or just, like, have a general... I would assume... So what we learn is they stole, like what's his name? Channing Tatum is able to sniff it out and be like, oh, I sniffed that her finger, the person that we're looking for, wrote on this paper, whatever, this character's name. So
that's why he's not fooled by the fake name.
Yeah.
Because the reason it's Catherine Dunleavy is because she used a fake name at this clinic, but for some reason, instead of a totally fake name, used her friend's name?
I guess maybe she had to, like, steal an ID. I don't know. But then, like, she doesn't look like her friend. Her friend is, like, I'm pretty sure... I remember her friend is blonde.
Yes,
this is
her friend
looks
entirely different.
Yeah. But she... So, yeah, the aliens... And they get a clear picture of the phone. Like, it is a 100%... I'm assuming the image she gets of the aliens is aliens. And it's explained away very awkwardly. Not awkwardly, but, like, unsatisfyingly by Channing Tatum later in the movie. He's like, you ever see a picture of aliens on your phone? You don't remember how you got it? That's the aliens. And I'm like, wait.
No, I don't think he's speaking generally. I think he's specifically saying,
yeah,
hey, there's a picture of aliens on your phone and you don't remember taking it. Which I don't know how he knows that, but...
And what does she think happened? Because we don't see her having, like, some sort of, like, nervous breakdown over the fact that she has some weird picture of her friends and aliens and stuff. I mean, it's not just aliens. It's aliens The picture would be aliens and then her friend floating in the room. Like, so I guess she has
well,
that
it's
picture.
a picture, so that the floating could have just been staged, like that guy eating pizza with his mind.
That's a good point. But she has the picture, has no question about it, but knows it exists. I guess maybe she thinks someone's like playing a really, really weird prank on her.
Well, she never really has time to think about it because she only sees it right before she goes in for the procedure.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, that's weird. But yeah, the aliens don't erase her phone or anything. They don't erase any phones, assuming. Like, we find out later that they, like, if they blow up a building in a big alien fight, they will fix the building. But they will mind wipe people. But it doesn't seem like they would mind wipe cameras or in any similar thing to cameras. So in a world with lots of cameras, you'd figure it out, which is the world we live in. And 2015 as well. Not to that extent, but especially now.
People still had smartphones in 2015.
Yeah, the thing with 2015 versus 2020, in 2020, I figured you'd get a lot of people live streaming whatever's going on. And even if you could erase the technology, you can't erase the people that saw it in a different place completely.
I mean, you're a hyper-advanced alien race. Maybe you could just mind wipe everyone on the planet with a single mind wipe gun. I don't know.
That's true. You should be able to do that. For what we understand, they don't have it. But either way, it is that part is very strange. But what is she signing to be Catherine Dunleavy? What is her? Why is she signing a fake name? What's she getting out of that?
Well, apparently her cousin, her young cousin, so like the man who owns the business's son,
Speed Racer's own, the Australian one. Did you recognize him from Speed Racer?
I did not. That's of course. Of course, you know that.
Yeah, he's. I saw that guy's face and I was like, he's something, but not a lot of things. And I'm pretty sure it's this guy. But he's the guy who is up in the, like, with the binoculars going like, Speed, you got Snake behind you. He's going to do a double jump or whatever.
Yeah.
And I guess he's like a Wachowski mainstay or something. But anyway, yeah. So
it's not unusual for a director to have a posse.
Right. He's there, 15 people that J.J. Abrams manages to shove into every project for no reason, taking up the space from other actors in the project. And whatnot. But anyway, so she has a cousin, and what's his grift? Grift.
So he has convinced her to sell her eggs, and somehow, for some reason, he gets 2/3 of the money from this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what he's contributing at all besides telling her it's a thing she can do.
I think maybe he got her a fake ID or something. I don't know if that's it. I remember later in the movie
she is, like she says at the beginning, technically an illegal alien.
Yeah, I remember hearing him say something later in the movie that made me go, oh, I see what you did. But I don't know what it is. Maybe he had a deal worked out with the clinic. But yeah, he just wants her to sell her eggs so that he can buy, because he is an American person. I mean, it's someone in America, a consumer, one of us wonderful consumers. He wants a big old television. Mm-hmm. And he'll pick it up on credit if he has to, as long as he can get that good egg money for it.
I mean, it's almost like this movie has something to say about consumerism.
It is a very, at that point, kind of, hey, look, consumerism isn't that may be interesting. Until later, when it becomes a very, I say heavy-handed, because it's not too much, but a very, like, on-the-nose, we consume. I feel like at one point someone says that.
Eddie Redmayne whispers at her, it's like, to live is to consume.
Yeah, that's right. And he's the hero, so the message is
life
confusing.
is an act of consumption.
Yes, that's it. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, and it's so yeah. It's listen. As far as messages go, yeah, I wouldn't mind it. I mean, I would say out of all of the movies I've seen with the Wachowskis, they're very anti-corporation in their movies. Speed Racer races against the corporation. Like, the Matrix guys, kind of Matrix against the established Matrix Corporation of Smiths and whatnot, and business. Good for them.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah, I would assume the Sense8 people Sense8 around, money. They don't have money because they Sense8 each other, and like they all smell something.
I don't know, but haven't watched Sense8, so I mean, you tell me.
I think they share senses, and I think they all have lots of sex together. I don't know how long it takes from them to go to A to B, but I have a feeling it's like more than one episode. But what I gather is there's orgies abounds.
Sorry, I just realized that I have the movie on in the background, as I often do when we record these episodes.
Yes.
And I'm actually at where her cousin is talking to her after he's bought all the stuff that he's planning on buying with her egg money.
Yep.
My guy's absolutely playing Dark Souls 2.
Oh, cool.
It's a real video game. It's not just like a weird CGI representation that someone put together
yeah.
that's supposed to be a video game.
I love it when they do that. Like, make a fake thing. And it's like, this is kind of like the thing. But, I mean, when in the movie, I'm trying to remember where she has time to even talk to him.
So, it's a little later. He calls her when she's at Sean Bean's house.
Oh, right. Yeah. But yeah, so the alien...
Or should I say Sean Bean?
Ooh, that's right.
A little teaser for you all.
Yeah, he's Sean Beaning it up. Here's the thing about this movie. Except for Eddie Redmayne, I don't think anybody's playing a character. They're all just doing their thing, kind of. Like, Mila Kunis is just like a Mila Kunis type, kind of like, every woman kind of plucky and whatnot, and Channing Tatum's like cool and tough and whatever. And Sean Bean is just
and
like
part
every
dog.
single ever character I've ever seen in a Sean Bean movie.
Well, hold on. There's one important difference
That
between
is true.
him and most of
Yes.
his characters.
Very, very much so. Which we will get to. But yeah, so she goes to the clinic to get the eggs taken out. But who do our wandering eyes do appear?
But the aliens,
Yeah, and they're disguised as people.
they're disguised as the doctors and nurses at the clinic.
Yeah. So like,
Which, you know what, actually makes sense as a plan if you've determined that she has this clinic appointment, but the person whose name it was signed isn't the person you're looking for. Just wait for that person to show up for their appointment.
Like, okay, so yes, more or less. The thing with the aliens is they can both shapeshift and go invisible. And they're kind of like little Spider-Men. Like, they can climb on walls and stuff.
Right.
So, like, when they go for her friend, they don't, like, knock on the door like a pizza man or whatever and then jump in the house and turn out to be aliens. They're just sneaking around as little invisible guys. And...
Who go visible to attack her for some reason?
Yeah. And I'm like, guys, that worked. Just go to Jupiter's house. I don't know. What are you waiting for? And
Well,
I
they
guess
don't know who Jupiter is. They don't know where she is.
that's true, and they
don't know
can't
who
smell her
she
yet.
is. Yeah, they're not dogmen. They can't just smell her.
They don't even have noses as far as we know. They just have big old heads because they're aliens. And, yeah, and then what's his name kills most of them, right? Channing Tatum. Does he have a name? He must have a name, right?
Yes. I believe it's like
stupid.
It's like Chase Wise or something.
Wise is definitely in there, yeah. Yeah. Everybody, characters will be like, Wise is gone.
Kane Wise.
Kane Wise, right, because Kane, like dog, right, like canine. Instead, he's K-Wise. I don't know. It's great. And
everyone has to have a name that vaguely references their animal.
Yeah, and I like that. Except, like we're gonna say with Sean Bean, it doesn't really reference his animal, but it should.
His name does.
Right, but like it doesn't. His animal isn't like his. Like he's not like enough of that to be like. His name
he doesn't
references,
look like his animal at all.
yeah,
Sucks.
or share any traits. Like he doesn't have any superpowers of the animal.
Well, he used to be able to fly.
That's true. But then so did Kane, like your average dog.
Like your average dog, yeah.
Yeah.
See? It all makes perfect sense.
So Kane kills all these aliens, or like most of them, probably not all of them, captures Jupiter, and he takes her to some building, because this takes place in Chicago. I want to say there's a bit where... Is there a bit in this movie where they talk about deep dish pizza? Am I imagining that? Maybe I saw something else that had that.
I don't think so. I
Yeah,
don't remember anything like that.
This must have been something else. You know what? I do know what the something else is, and we'll get to it in my recommendations.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at this cast list, and I just saw the full name of the Rat Man, and it's fucking incredible.
Oh, really? Okay. I'm looking at the cast list, and I don't see that, but I'm excited for it. Or not, I don't see it. I don't know what it is or which one I'm looking for. But either way, So then we meet the dog man. We've like seen him before in like scenes, and characters are talking about him, and they're like, he's a dog man. He's got the best smell. He's dangerous. He's part of some sort of special ops thing, but he's bad. He did a bad thing, and he got banned from the special ops.
Right.
And
and unlike most of these movies, they actually tell us pretty much right away what the bad thing he did was, which I appreciate.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's used against him pretty like liberally throughout the movie, especially by one of the villains. Is like, you know, he sucks. He did that one thing he did. And I was waiting for him to do that again in some setting, do like the specific thing he's called out for doing, but we never see it.
Yeah.
I feel like that might have sold me on the dog thing, but
yeah, that would have helped.
it would have been so cool if just right at the end. Okay, so what's this thing that I'm talking about?
Well, apparently, back when he was a soldierman, Channing Tatum ripped out a noble's throat with his teeth.
Yeah, like MacGruber, kind of.
Or like Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But with his teeth instead of his hand.
Yeah, and like he doesn't do that later in the movie, even though every single villain has some sort of throat situation, except for maybe I guess
They all
the
have
Dragon
such
guys.
soft,
but-
vulnerable throats.
Yeah, Eddie Redmayne, man, he's mostly neck. That guy is like itching to get his throat bit out by a dog person thing. What did you think of Channing Tatum in this movie?
He's fine. Like, I'd say this is the biggest problem of the movie, is that the two main characters are just, like, fine.
I completely agree.
Like, there's nothing wrong with them. They're not doing a bad job. It's just not that compelling.
Yeah, I think they're both pretty... I don't know if Mila Kunis quite as much, but I think Channing Tatum is very miscast in this role as, like, rugged dog man Channing Tatum, because all they do is give him a little goatee and little elf ears, and
he's got, like,
yeah,
sharp canines, if
that's
you will.
true. And he... Kane Wises... and he does growl from time to time, which I don't buy. But I feel like this is...
what about my favorite thing about him being a dog man?
When he says he's a dog man or something else?
No. It's not a thing to do directly with him, but it's the best part.
I don't know. What is it?
So, in a couple of his fight scenes, because he doesn't use this specific thing in all of his fight scenes, but he definitely uses it at the beginning, and he definitely uses it at the end. As part of his like initial gear setup, he has this like laser pistol that he uses in all his fights.
Oh, yes!
And the laser pistol, when he fires it, doesn't make like a pew pew laser noise. It makes a dog's bark.
Yeah, I had to rewind it a couple times to make sure that I was hearing that with the person that I was watching it with. She's like, yeah, I don't know. And I was like, no, I'm pretty sure it's barking. And yeah, I forgot all about that. That's so
His
weird.
gun barks. It's so good.
I wish there was more of that. I don't know how, but yeah, that's so weird. And it's like, because there is a little bit of pistol, like pew pew mixed in there. So
Well, the other people's pistols go pew pew, but his is mostly a dog bark.
yeah, Ah, God, that is so wild. Yeah, I forgot about that.
It's my favorite detail.
I think that, yeah, that's definitely right. As just the best detail of the movie. I mean, he's like, I would say he is. Do you have an actor? How about this? Do you have an actor that you think does fit this role? Like, if you swapped Channing out for someone else, because I think we've gotten quite a few of these in the last couple of years. Like, and I don't know why we got him. Like, why we got Channing Tatum in this role. But, I mean, I guess in 2015, he was coming off of Magic Mike. He seemed like the hot new thing. But yeah, could you think of someone to replace him with?
I feel like maybe like one of your Chris's.
I was going to say,
pretty well.
Yeah, I think you could switch this movie out with the cast of Thor 1. Natalie Portman, Mila Kunis, just like that movie where they both kissed their best friends who's a boyfriend now. Remember when they made that movie at the same time?
Oh, yeah.
There was like Just Friends and the other one. I think, I don't know which is which. But, and then like a Chris Hemsworth type. I really think, having watched it, and there's one bit where he does like growl a little bit as like, he's real ticked off. I think this role is written for Jason Momoa. And I don't understand, like, seeing his career kind of take off and then go like, yeah, he's like a rough and tumble bounty hunter man who, in a room with a bunch of squares, I could see him eating one of their throats if he's like provoked.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And like,
also, I thought you were going to say Black Swan, the movie where Natalie Portman and Mila Kunis kiss each other.
That's true. I forgot about that. Yeah, I would say, I mean, I think Mila Kunis is okay in this movie. I don't think she's, I think maybe I don't know what the better cast version of her is. I think most of the problems come with Channing Tatum if we're just talking about like casting and maybe characterization. But I do, just the idea that this movie came out in 2015, 4 years after, or 4 years, yeah, 4 years after Thor 1, with Chris Hemsworth and the other Mila Kunis that constantly gets subbed in movies, Natalie Portman. I feel like I see that formula working better there. But it really is just because Channing Tatum is this like really clean cut, like half albino. I remember that's thrown in there at one point as part of his like history, which I guess is going for like, that's what the beard's going for. I don't know. But he does not strike me as dog the same way that other people, animal people, will strike me as their animal.
Well, some of the other animal people are way more than him or Sean Bean.
Well, yeah, like he's kind of almost like one of those X-Men that can kind of pass if they have a hat on for human, where he has a superpower that is related to the thing that he has some sort of DNA power like with. But yeah, otherwise he looks like a normal guy if he's wearing a hat and a jacket. But then if you take that off, then it's like, oh, he doesn't have any, he has weird ears. And also, he has some sort of weird scars on his back from something. Whereas,
also, he's got that thing on his neck, but that could just be a weird tattoo, I guess.
Well, yeah, like there's all kinds of that stuff where it almost, like they all dress all weird in the alien world, but it's also like, yeah, that's kind of like a, I don't know, cyber goth matrixy kind of look. I'd buy it if I saw someone walking down the street. I'd give him a second look, but I wouldn't be like,
oh man,
alien coming.
I kind of loved when the alien hunters showed up at the beginning of the movie and were suddenly in like a 90s cyberpunk film.
Yeah, well, it seems like they're Matrix extras or Speed Racer extras, or, and this is why I didn't like Alita Battle Angel that much. I think it's fine. I think the Wachowskis could have done that into something special, and it's a shame.
I did like Alita Battle Angel. I would love to see the Wachowskis' Alita Battle Angel.
Because, yeah, these three weird background characters, I can't remember what one of them looked like, but one of them was a girl on, like, a bicycle, floating bicycle, with, like, giant pigtails and purple and black hair. Like, it was very exciting. And then one guy had an eye that was normal, and then another eye that was, like, a big, giant binocular eye. And, like, it was robot-y, and it's like Deadshot, kind of from Suicide Squad, but, like, times a million. And, like, yeah, I want to see, like, those guys. I wish there were a couple more of them. But, I mean, you know, but they are super funny when you see them for the first time. Especially considering, like, Channing Tatum just has weird shoes otherwise. And like, a funky shield. These guys are really grimy and whatnot.
And a gun that barks. Don't forget the gun that barks.
That's right. But okay. So then the brother's like, you didn't sell me, or like, you didn't sell your eggs? I bought all the stuff already. And
well, we kind of skipped over, Channing Tatum saves her from the aliens at the clinic. They like try to escape.
Oh, right. Yes.
Eddie Redmayne has set up a blockade on the planet and blows up their ship, and they have a big chase where the aliens try to kill them.
Mm-hmm.
But they get away, and Channing Tatum takes her to Sean Bean, who's
That's
an old
right.
war buddy of his, who's living on Earth now.
Yeah, and he's in like I want to say, God, I don't remember. I feel like we probably either meet him chopping wood outside his house, or might as well meet him chopping wood outside his house.
It's might as well. He's not actually, but I mean, that's the vibe.
He's so retired from war, you wouldn't even believe it. You'll never get this guy back in war. And you know what? Him and Channing Tatum, they're friends from war, but they're also big macho men who hate each other. So their first interaction has to be like one of those like, fuck you, kind of punch each other bits.
Yeah.
And they have like a really dorky fight on the lawn while Mila Kunis just watches. I was like, I hope they sort this out. With like the daughter who, no, it doesn't come up again, but whatever.
She shows up in one other scene, and that's it.
Yeah. What is interesting? So we've already discussed Sean Bean's. His name is Stinger or something.
Yeah, I forget his last name, but it's Stinger. He's a bee man. He's a man who's also a bee. But he doesn't have any bee physical characteristics.
You'd never know it.
It sucks.
He says it and he has bees. He's a beekeeper or something.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, he's Stinger a penny.
Ugh.
An apiary is like where a beekeeper keeps their bees, so that's also a bee pun.
Very good. Lucky him that he got named those things. Unless that's
well, he was like born genetically engineered to be a bee man. So true. I guess the genetic engineers have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
And decide to name how many bee puns do you think they've run through?
Right?
Like
maybe
you have to run out eventually.
It's got to be like waxium, I don't know, buzzes and stuff, and like you got a couple of those words and you kind of swap between them. Waspin, I don't know. There's
or do you just say like fuck it and come up with one pun and then name every animal man the same thing?
I think you could get away with that. Yeah, Stinger, Rapini, Stinger, especially with bees, because we never meet another one of him, but they seem relatively expendable because they're like drones, so they could all just be the same guy. But he does live on Earth in a house surrounded by bees. And this maybe is the single line or I guess thing in the movie that really made me roll my eyes.
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb. Do you want to describe this bit?
Sure. So what interrupts their fight is that Sean Stinger a penny as a bee man keeps a ton of bees in his home, but not like a beekeeper would. Like he doesn't have like a hive out back or something. He just like lets bees kind of build their hives all over the outside of his house and just kind of fly around and do whatever.
Yeah.
So Jupiter is being menaced by bees this whole time, and they just like keep surrounding her and bugging her.
Yeah.
But then like as she's like trying to get away from them, it becomes apparent that they like listen to her and like follow her and like do what she wants. And it's just like, and Sean Bean sees this and is like, oh, Your Majesty. Because, and this is a direct fucking quote in this movie. Bees are genetically designed to recognize royalty.
Yeah. This movie sucks. No, that's cool. But that bit is bizarre. It does not fit. Like, not doesn't fit, because it fits, but it's just so silly.
So that's how he figures out that because Kane Wise doesn't know what's special. He just knows he's been hired to find her.
Yeah.
So Stinger figures out that she's special because she's space royalty.
Yep. We're human royalty, you know? How do we know?
Well, they are humans, but...
Right, but, like, if she was Earth royalty, will the bees bother the Queen of England?
You know, that's a great question.
'Cause
I'm not sure which lines of royalty bees... What if there's, like, a pretender to the throne?
Yeah.
And, like, they take over and, like, start a new line. At what point do the bees recognize the pretender? Is it after they win the war? Is it... Like when they are winning, like the bees start to change sides. What's the bee criteria? The criteria.
I mean, it has to be genetics, right? Because as far as we know, like
right.
the
so
rules
the
of the
divine
universe,
right of kings is real in this universe.
And like almost like with Anastasia, which is the other thing this movie like kind of fairy tale, but not fairy tale, but like kind of that this movie borrows from. Like if a secret queen was soon like discovered, the bees would know. They would be the first to know.
So have bees been like that for her entire life? Has she been able to control bees this whole time and just didn't realize it?
Well, I guess if you don't have more than one bee around, like how often do you see 3 bees, you know? Like if you saw them, you'd be like, I guess they're going in a figure 8. Isn't that weird? But if you just saw one bee doing something weird, unless it was like Ant-Man where it was like getting the sugar in your coffee, you wouldn't really have a second thought. And they do mention, I'm pretty sure Sean Bean is like, have you ever been stung by a bee in your life? No.
That's true.
And
he does say that.
That's part of the like, you see, the bees have always protected you. Or maybe you've just lived somewhere cold where bees aren't a thing. I don't know.
I mean, I've never been stung by a bee. What if I'm space royalty?
Oh my God. We shouldn't be talking about this. Otherwise the aliens will come and get you. We need to find sexy Channing Tatum dog guy or whatever, Jason Momoa or someone that fits that role a little better immediately so that they could protect you from whatever, from, I don't know. I guess like if the movie is real, the dorky brother, but
from Eddie Redmayne.
No, I Redmayne, he bit it big time, but the one, the fancy brother is still kicking around.
That's true.
So
I just got to make sure not to marry him.
Yeah, try not to. I mean, yeah, you can't. You can only do so much, you know. He's got a charm to him that is as transparent as possible, but he's only like the first boss in the movie, so whatever. Also, we didn't talk about this real quick. The design for spaceships in this movie, I love the Wachowskis, is terrible. I hate it. This dumb floaty triangle bullshit. Transformers, it's so boring and confusing.
I kind of like the space cathedral later.
Oh, sure. Yes. I think there's a lot of the production design of this movie is fun, and the way that certain ships look. It's just this kind of battleship cruiser thing that Channing Tatum and Sean Bean will fly about in a bunch, and they like have like little like it's like a little tube kind of, you know, fuselage or whatever you and maybe your passenger sit in, and it's just covered with flying triangles, and the triangles make shapes, and that kind of shows you what the ship is doing at that point. So sometimes it makes wings, sometimes it's closer to fins, and I think the problem is we only see it in space or at night. It might look cool during the day, but the movie doesn't show us that.
Yeah, it's very like Stealth Bomber, which makes it look not like very mundane instead of spacey and futuristic.
Yeah, there's like 2 big space fight scenes with these things. The first one, not space fight scene, but like flying, you know, chase. The first one is in downtown Chicago around like all of the buildings, whatever. And then the second one is like to interrupt a wedding. And both of them are very dark, and it kind of made me go like, I mean, the Wachowskis clearly have an eye for this kind of thing from Matrix movies or Speed Racer. Like, I feel like having seen those 2 things and knowing which parts work the best, it's like you need a road or something that they're on to control the action and clarify the flow of it. Because
the green screens of them flying around Chicago are really bad.
Oh, and we didn't even talk about this. What is Channing Tatum's kit? What does he... besides his barking wolf gun, what else does he do?
His gun that barks, yeah. He's got gravity boots that let him kind of float.
Yeah. Up is hard, down is easy. I think that's what he says at one point.
Yeah.
And what else? A big dumb shield that no one has. That's the it.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Big dumb laser shield.
Like, it's only dumb. It's kind of like what the Covenant uses in one of the Halo games. I can't remember. Probably all of them. But it's only dumb because it's awesome, and no one has it but him. And maybe it's expensive. I don't know. But, like, all of these...
Maybe you can only use it if you're a dog man.
Oh, yeah. Much like dogs, wolves love big body shields. Or like wolf people love the body shield. And it would almost make more sense if he was like a little turtle man. I don't know. But the shield like gets him through all these troubles where he's like skating about and he's getting shot a lot, and he puts the shield up, and it's like an oval, it kind of blocks his whole body, and then he just shoots behind him and shoots the guys because they don't have a funky shield, like a plasma shield or whatever. But yeah, it's sick, very, very good. But yeah, so I don't love these two fight scenes, and I don't love the design of the battleship cruiser thingy, or like the TIE fighters of this movie. The ships in general, I think, are pretty cool, but yeah. So Stinger and him, what happens at Stinger's house? The aliens show up there?
Yeah, the aliens attack Stinger's house eventually. And so Kane and Stinger try to fight him off while she's escaping.
Right, the cornfield. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I laughed pretty hard at the crop circles. Just because they don't even comment on it. Well, it's not like a bit they pull attention on at all. It's just something you notice in the background.
Yeah, it's cute. Because even with the little gray aliens, at no point does someone go, that's what I thought aliens looked like. It really is like the Wachowskis were just like, we're going to throw all the alien lore you can think of in and just be like it's almost like the Matrix, where it's like there is a hidden world. You're just you're so close to it. You're just not noticing it. And it's because you see crop circles and you know there are green aliens in your phone pictures, but you don't know what they are.
When you see a crop circle, that's because a space bounty hunter fired a big gun there.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, that's so funny. And he has a gun. And she turns the bees on him. She uses... Yeah.
She uses her bee powers.
Yeah.
Which I wish had come up again.
I know. Well, that's the problem, is bees in space. Although, hypothetically, if what's-his-name is part B, you'd think she could command Sean Bean against his will.
That's true.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not convinced he's part B. I think he just picked up that name because he thought it was cool. Because he likes bees, but he doesn't ever demonstrate the qualities of bees. And also, you would assume, were he to get his wings back, they would be the same ones that Channing Tatum had, which are closer to like angel wings or bird wings.
Well, maybe his wings were bee wings.
That's true.
And it's very individualized.
That sounds like the world we get here.
Yeah.
But okay, yeah.
The escape attempt fails, and the aliens are about to kill Jupiter, but then two of the hunters that we saw at the beginning, who, in fairness to the movie, were like talking about like, what if we betray the man we're working for?
Yeah.
At that beginning point, so this was set up. They turn on their third partner and kill all the other aliens, and are like, let's take her to our new employer.
Now, as a person that's never seen the movie, if that's where you are right now, audience member, you may be going, what the fuck is going on in this movie? There's a lot of things that are happening, but what's the plot? Right. And who are these behind-the-scenes characters? The answer is we don't know. We very briefly meet a couple of characters that are like...
At one point, we just cut to another planet.
Yeah.
Where Eddie Redmayne and two other people are, like, having a weird conversation. But, like, they don't really tell us what that has to do with anything.
It's so confusing and stupid. And, like, I do appreciate... I think a movie like this that's all about space, genetics, and politics, and heredity, and all that stuff, like, that can work, and it's fine. But for the first hour, almost, of this movie, it's just this chase kind of thing, where it's like, oh, Jupiter's not safe here, she's not safe here, oh, this guy has a farm, and, oh, there's these guys hunting her. But it takes a while to figure out why, and...
to be fair, they do say Kane tells her at Stinger's house that he was hired by Titus Abraxas.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the Abraxas family are like the most powerful, noble family in the universe.
That's
but
true.
He's like, but I don't know why. And then Stinger's like, she's a royal. And they're like, oh, that's why. And the obvious follow-up question for Jupiter at that point is like, so what does he want with me then, probably? And she doesn't ask that, and no one answers it.
Oh, Jupiter is, like, her... Besides the fact that she has royalty and has bees, she is so, like, down for whatever and ride or die, but also has no curiosity about anything that's going on. Characters will suggest things to her, and she'll go, I don't know. And they'll go, no, you should. And she'll say, I guess. That probably works with the rules of the universe. I didn't know there were more aliens, and I didn't know anything about the rest of this, but I read a teeny tiny bit of the rule book, so I think I can navigate this entire geopolitical conflict, or geogalactical, or galactopolitical. I don't know. But it's funny because all of that bullshit works fine when we meet Eddie Redmayne's character, who also has that kind of mentality, which is like the Kaiba from Yu-Gi-Oh! Screw the rules, I have money kind of thing. But in the beginning, I feel like, and I understand why movies don't do this, because it would be kind of boring, but I think there needs to be a little bit of give and take, where Jupiter sits down and goes, okay, hold on, you have to explain something to me. Who are the people? Which one should I trust? Which one shouldn't I trust? What are they going to want me to do? Because she has none of that. And which brother do they take her to?
Well, they take her to not a brother at all.
Mm.
Oh, they take her to the sister, Kalik.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, that's right. I forgot. Yeah, I thought it goes to a brother, but yes, that's right. It goes to... Oh, God. Yeah, she's played by Tuppence Middleton. The best name ever, apparently. Tuppence Middleton. She's from stuff. She's in Sense8.
That sounds like a mean thing people call Kate Middleton.
I was going to say, yeah, it definitely seems like they're making fun of her for being poor. It seems like she might be the villain in the... Well, not villain. Well, I guess like victim/villain in the episode of... what's that show called? Black Mirror, where they're torturing her with a theme park attraction where she's like, she killed her daughter, so they're all going to ruin her life. Remember that one?
I've never watched Black Mirror.
Actually, she might not be in that. Anyway, Black Mirror, it's fine. The phones, you got to watch out for phones. But she's in one of those.
She was in Black Mirror.
Yeah. I can't tell if she's the one that they're torturing or some other one. That she was also in Sense8. And what's her deal?
She is one of the three heads of the Abraxas family. Which means she like owns most of the universe, I guess. Or rather, between the three of them, they own most of the universe.
Yeah.
And she reveals that what's special about Jupiter is that she is apparently just by chance, because at no point does anyone reveal that this was like a thing that was designed to happen. So like this is like astronomically impossible.
Yeah.
Or not impossible, but like astronomically unlikely. But apparently in the universe, in the world of this movie, this is a thing that happens sometimes. She has the exact same DNA as the Abraxas children's mom.
Yeah, and as a movie watcher, you think by now, well, I guess that must have something to do with her dad or something, who kind of didn't have he wasn't from anywhere, and he really loved his telescope in space, but that is all a coincidence.
And died under mysterious circumstances.
Yeah, saving his telescope specifically, being like, that's the only way I can get home to my home planet, kind of. But no, it's just that's something people do on Earth and maybe in space, but definitely just a normal Earth thing, because, yeah, it's all of her space destiny is random chance. Now, I think... Let's start let's work our way kind of not like backwards, but let's get to the center of this. What do the Abraxases produce?
This is not made entirely clear until later, although I think
Yeah.
it's pretty obvious. And I think even just from the first conversation they have, they're talking about harvesting a planet, and you're like, oh.
Yep.
So, like, it's really not that difficult to figure out, especially by this point. But essentially, they got rich because they create this slime that makes you young again. And the slime is made out of people.
Yeah, and it's called Regeneron. Just kidding. Might as well be. That's what the first thing I said to the person I was watching it with. I was like, oh, it's a Regeneron bath. But
He does the fail son does give it a name very similar to that at some point. It's like Regenex or something.
yeah, it's so strange. I mean, it's essentially. I mean, it kind of seems like it's what stem cells are, or like something like that. It's this goop made. What you kill a bunch of people, you get the goop. Now,
Well, you don't have to kill people for stem cells.
right. But yeah, it's like some sort of goop that like, and the Abraxas people are people. Like, we learned that humans have been seeded throughout the galaxy. So all of these semi-eternal beings are actually just people that are not like invulnerable. They just keep jumping in a big pile of goop.
Yeah.
And then they get better.
take a bath in the slime every few decades.
Yeah. And
Which we see Khalik do at one point.
yeah, she's like getting wrinkles, and then she takes a bath, and her butt is there, and then it's like, look at me.
I'm young again.
Young and sexy, and just like, you know, from the Black Mirror. And the girl's like, and Jupiter's like, oh, cool. I kind of haven't really super been paying attention to you. So, like, I guess this is different. I honestly, as a movie watcher, was like, I think she looked a little different a couple of seconds ago, but I don't remember.
I noticed only because I thought that the age up makeup looked kind of obvious and not that great. Mm-hmm. And so when they got rid of it and she looked like a normal human being, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Those
That's why they were
Wachowskis,
doing that.
they're testing their limits. Post Cloud Atlas, what can we get away with in terms of bad makeup? And that was the gist. But okay, so here's the thing that I think is so stupid. So the rules of the universe dictate, and I guess like all of space, like there's some sort of space government that has decided if a perfect genetic replica of you pops up in the world somewhere. And
which I guess in a unit, like if humans exist throughout the entire universe, and there are therefore like trillions upon, even more than trillions upon trillions of people just popping up everywhere throughout the entire universe, then I guess that's a little more believable that every once in a while someone, I mean, the exact same DNA is so unlikely. But,
I can't imagine. Yeah, and it's like she and she doesn't, I guess, like, how did they even find out?
You know what? I don't think they ever say.
Right? Do they, like, I would assume the best case, the best, like...
Do they just, like, have sensors built in all their planets to be like, hey, we got a genetic match.
A mommy showed up, let's go get the mommy. And then they send all the hunters to kill or capture the new mommy. But it's weird to me because, so this is the rules. They don't seem particularly prepared for this, because they send these hunters who like do the job, but when they actually get her to, like, when she shows up and they're like, you're the clone of mom, and it's like, it's the whole thing, you now own all the stuff, they don't really have plans for it. All of their plans seem improvised, especially Eddie Redmayne, who like seems like he should have the best plan, which leads at least me to believe this is the first time this has happened in a while. So, and it kind of has to play out one of two ways: either something that happens every week and you find that person and kill him, or it's something that happens once every 50 years and whatever. But it's the equivalent in this universe of if you owned a farm and you had a bunch of cows and you made cows. But then if any of the cows were this exact really specific weight, they got to own the farm. And it's not like Jupiter has, for the first time in her entire life, been this genetic code, right? Like, hypothetically, she was born the mom, but it's just that the mom died, right? That, like, they're like, oh, there's a new mommy out there.
The mom died a while ago.
So why are they just finding her now?
I don't... Again, they never tell us how they found her in the first place, so I have no idea.
So, like, I don't mind it as a like plot device, as a mechanism to kind of move the story forward, but it does really confuse me when it comes to, like, the stakes of how rare an occurrence this is, and just how, like, I don't know, the brothers don't do super well with this.
It's apparently common enough that people specifically set aside things in their will, in case a perfect genetic copy of them ever happens to exist.
And, like, so later in the movie, she's gonna go to, like, the DMV planet or whatever, and she is essentially...
I love that scene.
What's up?
I love that scene where they fill out all the space paperwork.
It's bizarre. So she is essentially like Space Jeff Bezos 2 now. Like, she's just like, hey, I'm the new richest person in the galaxy, and nobody cares. Nobody she is walking by starts bowing to her. Nobody at any of these, like, one of the robots has to bribe somebody with, like, a 10 spot, like, just, hey, yeah, maybe fill this paperwork out a little faster, huh? And, like,
with 10 C's, you mean?
Yeah. Like, but, like, there's no, like, I don't get the sense, based on that scene specifically, that her existing matters to anybody but these three siblings. Like, it's not going to make a difference in the universe. It's not going to, like, I don't know. It's really weird.
The guard she gets assigned calls her Her Majesty.
Yeah, but he, like, sucks. Nobody likes him. He can't even get the right paperwork. Wait, you're talking about the smiley robot guy?
No. The like fleet, the like ship full of guards that she gets assigned as her Aegis, like, personal guard.
So what are they? Like, are they?
So the movie doesn't really explain this very well. My understanding was that there's like royal family guard or like imperial guard or whatever you want to call it. That just, like, exists as, like, a military entity. And if anyone is a member of the royal family, they can, like, apply to, like, have a contingent of guards assigned to them. And so since she gets entitled while she's filling out the space paperwork anyway, she applies for this royal guard.
And Channing Tatum is not part of the royal guard, but he used to be?
Yeah.
Okay. And
same with Sean Bean.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and what's their deal, by the way? Sean Bean and they like, he, like, screwed him over at one point, kind of.
Well, Sean Bean stood up for him when he tore out that guy's throat. So instead of getting killed, they both got kicked out of the military and had their wings torn off.
Mm-hmm.
So he's mad that happened to him.
Yeah, it's a bummer. Although I feel like when he's explaining it to her or somebody, I feel like it's somebody is like, he's like, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. I love being not in the military and just having my bees. Or he loves that he has his daughter. Because he's an action hero.
Yeah. Every action hero loves their daughter. His daughter, who in her 30 seconds of screen time coughs exactly once to set up later that she's sick.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I love that. That happened. Like, she turns away from her last 10 seconds of screen time and coughs once. Not even that bad. And I'm like, she's dying.
Yeah. I have a hard time with that these days. I'm like, uh-oh. Everybody get away from her. You never know.
It's one of those things. It's like you never have someone cough. Like, people just cough randomly. It happens. Yeah. But you don't put that in a movie unless you're doing it for a reason.
Right.
Because it's not fun to watch someone just cough in the middle of their dialogue for no reason. So it becomes this thing where the second a character in a movie coughs, you're like, oh shit, they're dying.
Mm-hmm. Oh god, yeah. She is, yeah. And she, and they live, by the way, Sean Bean lives somewhere within driving distance of Chicago.
Yes.
Lucky him.
Very lucky, very lucky.
So Jupiter goes and meets the daughter, who uses the Regeneri, or whatever it is, to become young. Regenex.
The human slime.
Yeah. And, and there was a part for me for a second that I was like, oh my God, is this honey like from bees? And someone kind of calls it that. The brother calls it like jelly or something.
Royal jelly.
Yeah. So everything's bees. You gotta keep the bees alive. Jerry Seinfeld has been telling us for years. His message didn't get through, and neither did this one. I don't know what it is about Hollywood. They just can't handle a movie about bees.
I mean, they've been doing it since Star Wars, the movie that's secretly about bee people.
Wait, what?
Have you never heard this theory?
No.
I feel like I've talked about it on this podcast before, but you may have forgotten.
I probably did. What's his theory? Well, say it again, and then maybe I'll get it.
It's a theory that, for practicality reasons, the Star Wars movies depict all the people in them as humans.
Oh, I've heard this. I didn't know they were bees in a different...
But like really, they're a race of bee people.
Why bees?
I'm not that familiar with... Let me Google Star Wars bee theory, and let's see what comes up.
Can bees use the Force, kind of?
Okay, here we go. First result. Every human in Star Wars is really a humanoid bee.
Oh my God.
Let's
Is it
see
like
here.
some drawing George Lucas did once on a napkin?
No, it's just because it's a galaxy a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Obviously, they can't be humans.
Sure. Unless we are only seeded from their genetics, much like in Jupiter Ascending.
Gender is the most important clue. The original trilogy has a shortage of women when considered by the standards of a two-sex mammalian species. Leia is the most prominent female, and the only one to feature in all three movies. Aunt Beru and Mon Mothma also have named speaking roles, assigned as 3, blah, blah, blah. Leia describes her mother, who's obviously a queen. They all have at least local, political, and social authority. Family is a second important clue, or rather, the absence of family. With one notable exception, people in the series don't talk much about parentage. No non-force sensitive male ever describes his family, if I recall correctly.
This person did this before Solo, when that yeah.
Yes. The lack of strong family ties suggests that parenting relationships are much less close for most humans than for us, which in turn suggests large brood sizes, short gestation periods, young ages of maturity, or all of the above.
Huh.
Explains a few things. The Emperor's reproductive and political strategy. The Emperor, a fertile male, has replaced the old queen, substituting the use of clone warriors for normal biological reproduction.
The drone wars. I like it. I mean, yeah, whatever. That works.
The deal with Jabba's humanoid slaves. Doesn't it seem weird that a presumably hermaphroditic gastropod should be so fascinated by displaying captive females of another phylum in bikinis? The hive insect theory makes this habit a clear and calculated display of dominance, communicating to quote-unquote human visitors that Jabba is to quote-unquote human queens as queens are to drones and soldiers.
Huh.
The Death Star is in fact an artificial hive built as the perfect environment for the Emperor's new clone-based society.
Oh, it's like Venture Brothers, where there's just a big floating cocoon, but it's a hive. Mm-hmm. I like it. And I think, so this is definitely... I mean, so that's the first movie where bees have worked, but they had to write the bees out. Because obviously Hollywood hates bees. Bumblebee is the lowest grossing Transformers movie ever. I think other movies with bees in them. None. That's it. Those are the 4. Star Wars, this one, the Bumblebee bee movie or whatever it's called, then Bumblebee. So if you're ranking a movie and it's about bees, turn it into something else. Ants. Everybody loves ants, right?
Yeah, like the Woody Allen movie, Ants.
Yeah. Sly Stallone is one of the ants. It's not, I don't know. I haven't seen it in a while. Maybe it's good. Where were we? Oh, right. So, okay. So the queen and stuff. So, okay. So so Mila Kunis goes to meet the sister of the crew. And the sister's like, hi, I'm nice. Goodbye.
The sister's like, hi, you're my mom.
Yeah.
You can go fill out this paperwork and receive your inheritance for being my mom.
Yep.
And I just think that's cool. I have no ulterior motive or any other stake in this. I just think it'd be cool if you were my mom.
I'd like to believe that this is her plan all along, is she knows the other brothers are going to fuck this up, probably get themselves killed, and she will inherit their riches when they die. And then it'll just be the two of them.
It's implied later that the reason she's cool with Jupiter coming in and being her mom is that it would take away most of Eddie Redmayne's inheritance.
Oh, yeah.
Because he got most of the inheritance. So she's not grasping for more. She's just cool with Eddie Redmayne getting fucked over.
Which makes sense, because in the very short scene that they are all introduced to us, the bratty son is a brat, and he's like a little prince who's like, I don't get.
And he's kind of weirdly hitting on his own sister.
Yeah, and he's got a whole thing there, and it, that'll come up when he meets. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll get there.
And then the other sisters like seems normal, and then Eddie Redmayne comes in, like I don't even know how to describe his attitude towards them, and just like how they are in a different. Nobody is in the same kind of movie as Eddie Redmayne is in. He is in his own movie, and it is like a glam rock music video or something. Like, he lazes around. Like, the other characters have like conversations kind of where they're like, yeah, you're just like me. I am this and you are that. And they kind of try to level with characters and be people with them. So it seems like they know what a person acts like and what Jupiter would expect a person to act like, whereas Eddie Redmayne acts like, I don't know, like a Disney villain, but like the villain is a snake with a human voice, and it like the one from what was it? I guess there's one in Jungle Book. I think there's one in Robin Hood too, but like he lazes around everywhere, and he's very slow, and like can you do his voice?
Which one?
The normal
him yelling?
One. No, the one
there is no normal one.
The one that he uses to speak to most of the people when he's just like talking, I'm Eddie Redmayne and I'm the brother and I hate all of you, but not yelling voice.
Let me see if I'm not going to guarantee this will be perfect, but I'm going to try. He's like, you're looking well, brother. It seems failure suits you.
Oh, yeah, I remember that line. It's a good line. But yeah, he sucks. He's so weird. He does not, no other character in this movie acts like he does. Except for kind of one of his flunkies. Not like acts like him, but also acts like they're in the same movie as he is.
The Rat Man?
Yeah, the Rat Man.
The Rat Man does act like he's in the same movie.
And I guess kind
the
of
Rat
the Dragon
Man,
Man
whose name is I'm sorry, I've been holding this in for so long. I was curious
about this.
The Rat Man's name is Chicanery Knight.
Oh no. Oh.
Yeah.
That's a name. Oh, yeah.
Or chicanery. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that word.
He has a weird face.
He's a rat face because he's a rat man.
So, that's another thing. Once we get into space, the furries really start showing up. I guess we kind of mentioned this a little bit, or at least this is something that I feel very strongly about. Much like Cats was described as the movie to end all furry like culture, and just like you kind of were like, this is what they all want, but really it's like, this is not what they want. This is like, these cats are so ugly that this would scare furries and make them never want to do that again. This felt like a movie designed for like people that weren't quite part of the culture yet, but were like, you know what, ears would be cool if I had a big old elephant ears, or like if I had a little like, stinger on me. And then you
maybe I do want to fuck a dog man.
Exactly. And like, I don't know, besides Zootopia specifically, and Cats, I guess, another movie that I think seemed to be catering more directly towards that community. Because when you really get down to it, the Abraxas family is people. They're 100% people. That's their whole deal. And we meet a couple of other characters, like the lady that's in charge of the Aegises, who just appears to be a person, has no alien or animal DNA injected in her. but a lot of and some of the other like the other bounty hunters. But every so often we bump into like an animal, half man hybrid character thing, and it's like it kind of seems not unnecessary, but like a weird tacked on detail, because when you really get down to it, that isn't a part of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's with the whole like genetic engineering, gene splicing thing they've kind of got going on. Like the animal people are supposed to be like this lower class of citizens.
Right. That makes sense.
But it doesn't really come up that much.
And it's also Beauty and the Beast, and he is the Beast, but he's not really a beast. He honestly looks more human than Eddie Redmayne does, who is a human man, as far as we know.
Although the fact that he is a dog man does lead to Mila Kunis's best line read in the entire movie.
I think we yeah. Well, let's skip to that because
we're already past when that happens. Or actually, I think we're right up to when that happens.
I was going to say, yeah, I think we're there.
Because Khalik is like, yeah, I just am cool with you going off getting your inheritance. I have no desire to stop you at all. And sends her off to fill out the space paperwork. And on the way to fill out the space paperwork, she has a little conversation with Kane where she's like, I'm into you. And he's like, no, you're a queen and I'm a dog man.
And what does she say to that?
She says, I love dogs.
Yeah. Oh, God. I mean, the line... I remember the line specifically from him, and it's like, I have more in common genetically with one of your dogs than I do with a person. So it's not even like he's like, I'm kind of part dog. He's like, I am mostly dog. And she's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm into it.
You're a Channing Tatum-looking dog, though, so, like, cool.
He's like, no, you don't understand. Have you ever heard of nodding?
Oh, no. I don't even really know what that is, but I did see this video on it.
It's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. Don't Google it. Just know, people, that is a thing that is part of, there's a whole culture of wolf alpha.
Well, okay. I mean,
fiction.
It's literally an actual physical thing. That
sure.
Happens with dogs.
Yes.
Is where it comes from.
But
dogs and wolves.
I only know that from that video, and that's where it's good, great. Anyway, where were we? One of the things I want to mention about that is, he doesn't look anything like a dog. We're introduced to a couple of background characters where we don't really get their name or, like, their species type, but we're meant to go like, oh, yeah, I guess that's like a mouse man or, like, a horse guy or something, because they have, like, just the facial features of those things. Channing Tatum looks, right. And if you're not seeing the poster, Channing Tatum looks nothing like a dog. He doesn't have a dog mouth or, like, nose. He has, like, pointy ears, and he tells us he has a dog, like, DNA. But, like, I wouldn't buy it. Like, he doesn't... He could do more.
Now, he apparently did wear a jaw prosthetic to make his jaw more dog-like throughout when he was filming this movie, and it made him very hard for him to talk.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. That's such a... I believe it, but also, like, I had not realized that. Maybe it's a knock on Channing Tatum. Being like, I've seen him in movies when he talks good, and I'm seeing him in movies when he talks with a dog prosthetic. Can't tell the difference. He might as well always have the dog prosthetic. But no, he's great in some movies. I love that movie where they steal from NASCAR. He is. Oh yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, he kind of has a weird chin. Like he's like always clenching, like not chin, like jaw. So maybe. But yeah, he's really just like an elf man. Okay, so we're getting close to getting to the middle of this movie, but also at a certain point it just turns into everything explodes. So we skipped we got through the one normal sister. Let's talk about that one brother that isn't Eddie Redmayne. What's his deal?
The fail son.
Yeah. adult
So he's-
son, whatever his name is.
Large adult son.
Yeah.
He is, like you said, the other son of the person Jupiter is an exact genetic clone of.
Mm-hmm.
And he greets her and is like, "Ah, yes, I also want to help you because I think it's bad that we harvest trillions of people to make our human slime. And I think you probably think it's bad also.
Yeah.
And our mom, who you are, thought it was bad before she died, and that's why she was killed. So, the way we fix this is if you marry me, Mom." And, like, no one brings this up.
Yeah.
She's never at any point like, wait, aren't I, like, your mom? How do I marry you? What are you talking about?
And, like, I would say, so there's, like, Eddie Redmayne and the other one, the girl, kind of bring it up in, like, you're like our mom. Pretty much mom. But also, like, you know, you're like Jupiter. I get it. He, pretends to fall in love with her a little bit and tries to, like, charm his way into the, like, inheritance. And, yeah, like, and he's also the one that really, like, the other ones go mom and he goes mommy. Like, I remember I used to have so many nights, like, talking to Mummy, and she sounded just like you, and her she made the same face, and I'm like, did she though? Because that's not Earth face, or is it? Or, like, you don't, like, I want to say this movie, nature versus nurture. Seems like this movie thinks mostly nature, because even with that, he's like, you had the same smile, and he's kind of trying to flatter her. But then later, when he's turns bad, he's like, your mother was even less gullible than you, or something. But, like, it seems like genetically, she is kind of like their mother. Because of genetics, her personality is also kind of like their mother's, which I find strange.
It is strange, but then she does make different choices.
One assumes
than the mother did.
So, did the mother did not hate the harvesting, or did she?
I think that was a lie.
Okay.
I don't think she, or if she had reservations, I don't think she really tried to do anything about it.
And it really only seems like Jupiter doesn't like it because she doesn't want her immediate family to be killed as part of the harvest.
I think by the end, I think the end, an important thing that she does is be like, I don't want you to harvest anyone, not just my family.
Sure, but I guess I guess we don't get a bit in the beginning with Jupiter where she's like a super hardcore vegetarian or something, where she seems against harvesting the species for the reason, because it's just in general she hates that. It seems like she has a vested interest in Earth in the beginning. The mother would not. Although the mother does believe Earth is the most wonderful of the planets or something, right? She's like, that's like the crown jewel of the mother's inheritance. I don't remember why.
It's hard for me to know if that was true or if he was just saying that because he was trying to surreptitiously buy Earth.
That's fair.
Because, like, that whole conversation was all of them being like, I know our mother is there's a clone of our mother. Well, not a clone, but, you know,
like
a genetic recurrence of our mother. But
that's the one. Yeah.
I'm not sure if you know, and I don't want to say.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Yeah, I guess we never get a sense exactly for what's going on behind the scenes. We just know that they're all kind of jockeying for power, except for the sister who, like, is still part of the power thing, but is not actively trying to fuck over the other ones by killing something or doing something like that. She's just kind of letting all that happen. Whereas the scheming younger brother wants to marry her, and he basically, when she meets him, he's like, she comes off the ship, and he's like, hello, you are you're the mummy clone or whatever. And I remember she's like, excuse me, according to section 5187 of the space code, you have to do something that I want you to do. And he's like, oh, you read the space code? And she's like, I did. And then later he's like, so can I trick you into marriage? And she's like, was it in the space code? So seems legit. I guess I'll do it. Like, there's this weird balance with Jupiter in terms of what she's comfortable with and confident in and what she's not. And she gets way in over her head way too quickly. But I don't know. I guess I don't know as a viewer what. I don't know. I just don't. There's so much stuff going on. It's like being popped into the 5th season of Game of Thrones and just being like, I guess these guys know these guys and they want their stuff. I don't know why.
Yeah. I honestly forget what the marriage was supposed to accomplish.
I mean, he was going to kill her and inherit whatever
I know
she had,
what it,
right? But
I know what it was supposed to accomplish. Like, actually, I forget what he presented it would accomplish. Like, that would convince her to do it.
He honestly, it kind of seems like it was, the way I remembered, he was like, it was like, they all want to kill you, but they won't kill you if you're my, if you're my mommy wife. If you're my mommy wife, they can't. So I won't let them. And then...
Oh, right. I guess he presented it the same way, where it's like, if you marry me, then they won't want to kill you anymore because they won't inherit anymore.
Yeah. But also, like, then the logical next question she should have asked in that moment is like, but then why? And his answer would have been, because I'm going to murder you. Or because I'll have all your stuff. And then it's like, well, then...
Well, because then if you die, then I'll inherit everything you own. It's like, then maybe won't you want to kill me then?
And also, like, her Aegis guys and these super, police cop force of, like, knights or whatever that Channing Tatum is now part of. Channing Tatum is in their like, teeny tiny little jail that is a little hole with some bars. Funky bars, but nothing all that special. Where are they during all of this?
Well, she was kidnapped, right? So they're looking for her. Right, we forgot to say that Sean Bean betrayed them.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Sold her location to Titus, and, like, that's how she ends up with Titus.
Right, and he's all sad about that. He mopes around a lot.
Right. After she's done filling out all the space paperwork. Now, if you're curious why I keep mentioning the space paperwork, this is a scene that is at least 5 minutes long.
Yep.
Possibly more. Of literally them just, like, going around different, like, bureaucracies and, like, filling out forms so that she can be a space queen.
And, like, yeah, it's like, it's like she steps off the spaceship, and then this little robot man, little Pinocchio boy, is like, hello, I am the spaceman. My name is, like, Bob or something, and I am here to help you fill out your paperwork. And seems like a lot in life, and this is, boy howdy, he found the queen of space, so he gets to take her through the paperwork section, and he fucking goes to every door, and they're like, no, Bob. And I'm like, does this guy know how to do it or not? What's going on? Is this system designed to fuck over the robot? Or is it designed to screw over her? Because neither of them can get through it. It seems like Bob knew how to do it. And at a later point in the space bureaucracy scene, he, like, half robo-bribes someone by, like, flicking a 10 spot at him, or 10 C's, I think he said is what it was. Out of, like, a sabacc holder in his like, sleeve. And then, like...
No, man, he lifts his entire fake hand up.
Yeah.
And his wrist has a hole in it out of which shoots money.
So, like, that is something that he does late in the game to grease the wheels because of how poorly everything else is running. It seems like it's this guy's first day. Because it seems like his reaction the first day, or first window should have been... They were like, oh, actually, you need Form B7. And he's like, no, I don't. And then just showers them with 1 million credits or something. Because she's going to be the richest person in, like, 2 minutes. But he doesn't. And there's other robots. And there's, like, a cellar. And she has to, push through crowds of people. Or, like, people in line. And it's dirty. And it's, like... I don't know. I can't even imagine what this is like. I guess the closest thing I can think of is, like, if the Queen of England, or like Prince Harry or something, married not just a commoner, but like a mystery person with no birth certificate. And that person had to go through the British birth certificate system. I would imagine it would be very easy for them. The system would make it easy because it wants this person to be part of it, or at least doesn't want that person to execute them later. But, like, they make it so difficult for her. It's so weird. That scene.
Well, it's like you said before, no one besides the Abrasax children and her guard really seem to act like she is the queen of the universe.
Yeah. And it's not a secret either. The robot guy, if I remember correctly, like when she lands in the space like capital for the bureaucracy scene, she's like he greets her like, "Oh, hello, queen. You are very wonderful." And so he seems to know there's something special, and he will go up to her. He takes her to get her space driver's license, and he's like, "I have before me Queen Jupiter Jones of Abraxas," and everyone's like, "She doesn't have Form 2F," and he's like, "Well, okay," and then he goes downstairs. It's such a weird scene, and I just don't get it. I really don't get it. It's awesome. I wish there was more weirdness like that and less palace intrigue, kind of, because I liked the world building of this universe when it was being built as opposed to being like explained to me.
I mean, it's very like Hitchhiker's Guide
yes.
to like Byzantine bureaucracy of it. And I do enjoy that.
Yeah, I found that bit very charming. But she gets her like space medal, which is her birth certificate, and then so Fancy Boy, the younger child, wants to marry her for the reason he has kidnapped what the heck's his name? I don't remember. Kane. And he's like, but this is the bit where she's like, "Kane, I want to fuck you," and he's like, "I'm a dog," and she's like, whatever. I'm
into it.
Yeah, it's been a big day. And he's like, "No."
Look, if you asked me a week ago, do you want to fuck a dog? I would have said no. But now...
Or maybe I would have said yes, you know? Maybe this is all just a really good coincidence for me. I've been wanting an excuse to do this for a while.
I've had these urges my whole life.
Yeah, and everyone tells me it's weird, but I knew somewhere there was a space dog man who looked like a stripper with ears on, and that guy was for me. I wonder if they have babies, if they'll be like little puppies.
Oh, man. Would she give birth to like 6 children at once?
Yeah. Yeah, it would be like a mix between like normal looking kids and like kids with like, I guess the kids, you would know how much puppy DNA they have by what sound the gun makes when they shoot it. And they'd be like, "Oh, this one's full dog." But so he leaves. So Channing Tatum's like, "No, I don't want to do this. I mean, I should, but I don't." And then the shitty kid, Abraxas, puts him in a little hole, and then he says, "You have to marry me." And she says, "I don't want to." And he's like, "But it's better." She's like, "What about the dog one? I want to marry him." And he's like, "Oh my God, you wouldn't believe it, but he just did the throat thingy from that he told you about it, or someone told you about it. He did it again, and he had to go to dog jail. He got put down."
I had to call the dog catcher and have him put in the pound.
Yeah. So after that, after learning that the love of her life, Channing Tatum, the guy who has like a weird ears, dog DNA, and his like roller skates, that he is dead forever, she's like, "All right, I guess we'll get married then." That seems like a fine choice. But it also seems like he could have held the gun to her head and made her do this, right? A character will do that later, and it seems like it works.
Yeah, I guess. I guess it would have been fine. I don't know.
Yeah.
He does say repeatedly, like, "I'm not asking you to like love me," or like, "It's not a love marriage." I'm talking about like a green card kind of thing.
Yeah. Which
so he's at least not trying to be like, "I love you and you should marry me because you also love me," which would be entirely insane.
That's true. And we get a little bit of that with it almost has that like kind of Frozen like bit where it's like, wait, you're gonna marry this guy? You just met him. And it's like, that's stupid. Disney princesses are stupid. And he's like, yeah, I know, that's stupid. That's not what I want to do. I just want to do it so I can take all your titles. I want more of like a Hugh Hefner, not Hugh Hefner, but like kind of, I just want to be with you for a little bit and then you die and then I got all your stuff.
Well, I mean, we did see him having that space orgy earlier.
And the space orgy was mostly touching. It was the least sexist, like, sexy orgy I've ever seen. The people in the orgy seemed to think it was sexy, and they were all also floating, so maybe there's something going on there. I don't know. And
I mean, there was a mass of writhing bodies covering up his bits.
That's
so
true.
Maybe they were just going to fucking town under there.
I mean, good for him. And he's got the magic space jelly that he needs to, like, keep everything in good shape, I guess. Probably.
Yeah. Well, to restore it to its prime physical condition.
Exactly. If
he was never particularly fit in that regard, there's nothing the slime can do for him.
That's true. Maybe they could breed him with like an animal or something. I don't know. Give him like...
well, we unfortunately that wouldn't help because we have the largest proportional genitals of any species.
That's not true, is it?
Well, of any mammalian species.
Oh. What about a bee? What's the bee genital situation like?
I'm not a whatever you call an insectologist. I forget the name for it.
I don't know, but it could be a thing. I mean, I'm sure it's weird that they have animals on other planets. I get people, but like I guess maybe every planet has some elephants. I guess some planets have dragons because we don't have dragons. But
yeah, did they seed when they seeded? Well, hold on.
Oh, wait. Yeah, we didn't say this thing. Yeah.
Because Sean Bean also reveals when he's telling all this exposition to Jupiter that the human empire that seeded Earth also killed the dinosaurs.
Yep.
So all the animals that are descended from dinosaurs didn't come from space then. All like the birds and shit.
Yeah.
But like dogs, did they also seed dogs when they seeded humans?
And the birds, like, so we'll see Channing Tatum used to be a bird person because he has bird wing areas. Did he get that from other planets' dinosaur, like, derivatives?
I don't know.
This, you know what? I was on board. But then they lost me on what the dinosaurs, how they factored into things. I want a Super Mario Brothers universe where it's like, what if the meteor made the dinosaurs smart?
Yeah, everything's logically consistent there.
Yeah, that's the kind of world building I need. So then the wedding commences. It is the mommy boy and space mommy Mila Kunis, Jupiter Jones herself. She's got a whole...
It's also around this point that it becomes obvious that his entire ship from the outside in is like this weird space cathedral.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I couldn't figure out if he had a separate space cathedral set up for this or if that was the whole ship, but I guess that makes sense. It is like
I feel like it's the whole ship, because watching it again, like, her room has this big stained glass window. The ship itself, the cannons come out of stained glass windows, and there are statues on the outside of the ship.
Oh, interesting. I do like that. It's pretty cool. Also, he has goons. Who are his goons?
I guess they're just, like, the people he's hired, because he's also a rich aristocrat.
But he doesn't have, like, because, like, Eddie Redmayne has, like, a race of goons that are his goons.
Right.
But this guy doesn't have anything like that, right?
He's got a big dragon man named Mr. Skelligan.
Yeah. This movie is so weird.
And don't forget the rat man named Chicanery Knight.
Oh, for sure. And I want to say there's another rat-esque man who wasn't a rat man necessarily, but he does kind of seem like one. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't think so. No.
So there's another guy who I'm pretty sure works for this guy. There's another, like, I don't know, facilitator, kind of go-between dude who's like a... You know, he...
Well, there's the big ear woman who works for him.
Not her, but similar. Like, kind of, you know, same role. But there's a scene where there's, like, a guy with a lion face. Do you remember him? Or, like, owl face.
He works for the woman. He works for Kalik.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was confused about that, but yeah, that's the other animal. The first like animal that I saw that I was like, oh, okay, we got animal people here besides the dragons.
Right. They all kind of have their right hand man. Eddie Redmayne has the Rat Man.
Yep.
Titus has the Big Ear Woman, and Kalik has Lion Face Man.
Yeah. Out of all of them, Lion Face Man seems like the best one. But
right. Well, he's the only one who's not like evil.
Yeah,
So-
he's just kind of crafty. He does the job the way you want it done. Also, the space wedding. So I actually scrolled up to find that clip, and yeah, he's definitely got like a fancy space cathedral ship, which I feel like the production design of this movie is fun. I wish it took place completely in space. Kind of. I don't think it like dips our toe into it well enough that it's like, well, you get it gradually, because it really is just no space and then all space. So like, I don't know, start it in all space. But this son, this son also is the one who explains what the Regeneron does and stuff, and he's like, this is a fancy blue thing, and she drops it, and he's like, whatever, it's fine. That's just
he's like, this is our human slime. It takes 100 humans to make a bottle of this slime.
Which, like, okay, so if that's true, they should have a lot of slime, right?
They do have a lot of slime. He has got a whole room full of slime, and that's just the slime he personally has.
But I feel like you should have way more than that. 100 humans? If you're going to harvest Earth and there's 7-8 billion of us in the future, that's going to be a lot more slime. You should have boatloads of it, but he only has a little bit. I don't know. That's just me being a slime nitpicker, but I do feel like the slime...
I'm very particular about my slime.
Well, the slime economy is important because the headhunters...
The slime economy is their entire economy.
Right, and the headhunter, like the girl with the pigtails and Magic Eye Man, or not Magic Eye Man, because he's the one they betray, but the dude who's like all black skin, black hair, like, you know, those two are part of the team that betrays the other guy. They get paid in one vial of slime.
6 vials of slime.
Or whatever. A small amount of slime.
Not that much slime.
I'm like, yeah, you get more slime than that. But I guess...
But then, like, Kalik takes a bath in the slime.
Yeah.
You gotta have a lot of vials of slime to take a bath in it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Maybe like, the richer you are, the more wasteful you are with your slime.
That's saying something about our systems, you know?
Yeah.
This movie has a lot to say about...
Makes you think.
About capital and whatnot.
It increasingly, over the course of the movie, has a lot to say.
Yeah. And, I'd go for it. It's cool. No,
I mean, it's good. It's you know...
I wish it were in a movie that was more widely received popularly. I'm okay with this message being spread far and wide. But maybe Jupiter was not the message for it, or the vehicle for this message.
It's not a subtle movie, but I don't think a movie where a dog man has a gun that barks should be.
That's true. And then, okay, so the wedding. Jupiter puts on a dress that's mostly a tree, and then Channing Tatum and Barry B. Benson, the busboy, they're like, we gotta go save Jupiter. I guess they're probably going to do a wedding or something. That seems like the kind of bullshit he'd try to pull. And
well, he said before he throws Channing Tatum out of the airlock, and in the tradition of all great villains, explains his whole plan to him before he does so.
Oh, the airlock bit. Yeah. Okay. So he throws him out of the airlock.
It was very... Yeah, you go.
He throws him out of the airlock, and Channing Tatum is like, he's like, you'll never survive the airlock. And Channing Tatum has this, like, his, arms are handcuffed behind him. He still has his magic flight shoes on, but they're still kind of useless in this situation, hypothetically. Or, like, in theory, he's still going to die. But he is able to clearly kick something out of the airlock as he leaves it, and it turns out to be a flight suit that lets you live for a while. And they're like...
Yeah, it was very polite of them to include those spacesuits in the airlock.
And not mind when he got a couple of them. It's like, well, what's he going to do? Put it on and get rescued? Whatever.
Yeah. Because they're like, yeah, we just injected him into the cold vacuum of space. He'll die instantly. You can't survive for even a second in space.
Yeah.
But little did they know that that's not true for dogs.
I was going to say, yeah, that's true for people, but have we tried it with a dog?
We have sent a dog into space.
And that dog went on to be in the Guardians of the Galaxy with its silly little cosmonaut outfit. And
that dog died.
It survived. That's what they want you to think.
Dog died in space.
That's what the Abraxases want you to think. That's why this is a plan by the dog villain leaders to like trick you into thinking you can just do that. It's kind of like how bears have tricked people into thinking playing dead works for bears. Like dogs have tricked people into thinking throwing you out the airlock works for dogs. And that's how they always survive.
I see. I understand.
So then we get this really awful CGI bullshit where, and this should have been where the movie got me, where Dog and Bee rescue Jupiter from the wedding, the Shrek wedding, by going through a bunch of whatever. I don't completely understand what
Warhammers is what they call them.
So is it like space mines or something? Is that what this is kind of supposed to be?
It's some kind of like interlocking space wall that keeps out all intruders, I guess.
Yeah.
But the really funny part of it to me is like they launch all of these Warhammers and they're like, keep everyone out. And like we see that Channing Tatum and Sean Bean have to blast through it to get to her, and it's like this whole big action scene. And then we zoom out at one point, and they're just in this one cylinder exactly where Sean Bean and Channing Tatum went. I figured it would be covering the whole ship because that's what makes sense if you're trying to prevent people from getting in the ship. But it's just in that one spot. And instead of being like, what if we went around to a different spot where these aren't?
Right.
They're like, the only way is through.
What if me and you split up? They don't think there's two of us. They think there's one of us. So if one of us goes right through, then the other one can. But no, it's just like we have to shoot the best we can. Like, I'm trying to think of a version of this because it really is just CGI bullshit and shooting and bombs and Channing Tatum in like some sort of like green screen suit with all kinds of bullshit like HUD nonsense around his hands, like making the face like, oh, I gotta just push through, we're so close, and like pushing his hands and tilting and then explosions. And it's I don't know, man. I know people that like get at the Marvel movies, that get at like, these superhero movies for like over reliance on CGI. I've never seen it as just like the superheroes or like the good guys have to go through the CGI and it's hard and they go through it as good as they can, and just in the nick of time they kill all the CGI in time to stop the wedding. I mean, I guess Transformers is kind of what this feels like, because the ships are also these little like dragonfly, I don't know, angel thingies made of triangles that like shift, and I don't know. It's not not an amazing visual. Not my favorite visual, but they do manage. You'd never believe it. I mean, we've still got like 45 minutes of movie to go or something. Well, no, about a half-hour movie left. So this doesn't seem like the right time for it, but we do have to get Eddie Redmayne in it. But they do manage to stop the wedding. And she didn't get the ring tattoo in time. Look at that. Mm-hmm.
They kind of like do all of their the end result of all space paperwork is that I also want to say they call their space paperwork sheave,
mm-hmm.
which is close enough to sheet where they're like signed the sheave, and you're like the sheet.
Yeah,
are you saying sheet?
Or like the Sheev, like Sheev Palpatine, a space name that we all know from that.
Yes, that's true. Anyway, the end result of all this is that you get a tattoo on your body that glows and says that you're the thing that it is.
Right.
And so instead of getting rings, they tattoo a ring shape on a finger. And like that's how you know you're married.
And like the Bible has a little tattoo machine on one of the pages that gives you this little like holographic, tattoo, and it's like, do you swear to be weddings and stuff? And he's like, I do swear. And then he gets a tattoo, and then he's like, that the priest is like, "Do you swear, Jupiter, to be his bride for at least a couple minutes?" And she's like, "I do swear." And she starts putting her finger down. And then there's like rumblings outside the ship. She's like, what's going on? Takes her finger off. And this is where I start kind of not quite understanding how the space law works. He just shoves her hand onto the Bible. It's like, wait, finish it, get the rest of your tattoo. And I'm thinking, like, what is this, Dark Knight Rises, where, like, Bane just steals all the money from the stock exchange, and then at the end it's like, well, he stole all the money, I guess it's his now. It's like, dude, it was under duress. I imagine she has some space lawyer she can call that will make this contract void. It seems like the law.
Well, not if he kills her immediately.
Well,
and
that
produces the paperwork, being like, "You see, she married me before she died, and so I get all her stuff."
For
and
sure,
no one's there to contest it.
I guess he's gonna try this, and in a way that's almost more airtight than the next guy that's gonna try this. And with the next guy, I'm like, dude, what did you think was gonna happen? Because I don't see how this works, but. I don't know, man. It's pretty awesome. And Channing Tatum skates in on his little rollerblades, and he's like, "Don't finish putting your tattoo on. He's gonna kill you." And do you remember what's his name says? What Mommy Boy says?
I don't remember.
He's like, "Mommy wasn't as stupid as you were," or something like that. He like insults her, and, like a Scooby-Doo villain. Just like, I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for your dog man and your lousy dog man.
If it weren't for your meddling dog.
If it weren't for your lousy bees and your meddling dog man. And and then they just leave, and that guy's done. No more movie for him. He doesn't die. He's kind of disgraced, but he's gonna make out like a bandit later. At least like.
Yeah, I mean, he benefits from what happens to Eddie Redmayne just as much as Khalik does. So, I mean, he doesn't get his full plan, but he gets as much benefit as her.
And I wonder, I guess Jupiter, because Jupiter, spoiler alert, will live to tell the tale. I bet Jupiter will tell people how stupid this guy is afterwards and be like, man, this guy, he tried to do a marriage to me. Yeah. And
his own mommy.
Yeah, he loved his mommy so much. And like you could tell, if I was into it, he would have been into it. And he tried to, you never believe it. He got so far.
He pretended it was a business thing, but I could tell he wants to fuck his mommy.
And he tried to put my hand on the little Bible to get the tattoo. Oh my God. He's so pathetic. He couldn't get any of his friends to come, so he just had robots come to the wedding or something. I forget what that line is, but at one point he says that.
Sims.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So then they go to I don't know, man. Where do they go? Oh. So right. So Eddie Redmayne has worked out a plan with Mouseface and his loyal team of, I guess, like little like crocodile men with wings, and they're like, "Here's a cool plan. Let's just fucking take her whole family and kill them unless she lets us have all her stuff." And that's a pretty good plan in the world of the movie. It almost works. It's the worst plan ever.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just it bugs me how that's the end game of the movie, because honestly, I could buy the marriage more as part two, like a clever villain. I mean, Eddie Redmayne in this movie cannot charm anyone.
I was gonna say, yeah, like it would not be believable at all for Eddie Redmayne to like act like a normal human being in this movie long enough for someone to marry him.
Well, I guess like with Eddie Redmayne, I think with Mommy Boy, I think it would be a little harder to be like, "Oh, I don't even love you. I just want to do business marriage." And you'd be like, "All right, I think you were trying to charm me before. Now you're not." It seems like you've got a bunch of shifting motives. But I feel like if Eddie Redmayne was like, "I love you," or no, he would be like, "I have no love for you. I just want you to marry me for the space money." Then I'd be like, "Yeah, he seems like he's serious." It doesn't. I feel like if he was lying, he'd lie better. But he's not. He's just telling me the truth. And he's crying this whole time. He seems like he really means it. I kind of feel bad for him. I think I'm going to marry him for space money. So, okay. So Eddie Redmayne, we haven't done this yet. Kind of we have. But like, Diggins, can you describe Eddie Redmayne's guy? How would you describe his dude?
I would describe him as the space future version of a frontman of an early 2000s screamo band.
Interesting.
He's just like Eddie Redmayne's got kind of a weird face to begin with,
Yeah.
but they like
Yeah, he does.
But, like, they, like, spread irritant on his lips before every scene of this movie, so his lips are, like, huge and puffy.
And they're, like, the same color as the skin right next to it. So it looks like he has big old pale lips, like, just, he has a mouth that continues and is kind of lips.
And they put just enough mascara on him that he looks like he's constantly crying.
Oh, my God. Wait, we never talked about this. I mean, yes, the mascara. Also, out of all of the things that are weird about Channing Tatum, he wears a ton of eyeliner. Like,
that's true.
He looks, if I saw him on the street and I saw the ears and all the tattoos and all the bullshit and I saw the eyeliner, I'd be like, that guy, the eyeliner is the weirdest thing about him. Maybe he's got...
I'd look at him and be like, this is some weird subculture I don't know anything about.
Yeah, exactly. The eyeliner, I think, is something he puts on, kind of. I don't know if he's born with that. I think that's...
Well, I mean, do dogs naturally have eyeliner?
I mean, it's so hard, because he is also part bird, kind of, we'll find out, and so is Sean Bean, but maybe not the same kind of bird, or winged, thing, but, like, Sean Bean just looks like a guy. I think Channing, but no one else puts on the eyeliner, either, besides Eddie Redmayne, and, like, the makeup. I think he puts it on. I think he thinks it's cool.
Definitely, 100%.
Good for him, man, You gotta have something that gets you out of bed every morning. Putting on your eyeliner, getting your cup of coffee, we're all different. But yeah, it's not a bad thing, but it is a design choice that stuck out to me when he wasn't shooting people, especially like when they're flirting. I'm like, he looks strange. What's going on with, he's got a ton of eye makeup on. Like almost like he's off-duty Batman, like just pulled off the mask Batman. Like, what the fuck is he doing? But anyway, yeah, Eddie Redmayne has a ton of eyeliner on, yes. Or, like, something to that effect. He's very strange. He's dressed all weird. He's dressed as if he was wearing normal clothes that started melting, kind of. Like, just everything on him is long and, like, robe-ish. Seems like...
But also, like, made of leather.
Yeah. Oh, and everybody's wearing black leather in this movie from this point on. Jupiter gets, Channing
Jupiter
Tatum,
is
Wolfman.
from this point on, Jupiter is only wearing either black leather or elaborate impractical dresses.
Yeah, it's almost like the Wachowskis learned nothing from Speed Racer, or like the only note they got from Speed Racer was like, get rid of all the color, please, turn everything black and dark and bad, because like it's so like the ageist whatever, the like police or bodyguard unit also dresses like all the bad guys dress, and like, I don't know. I feel like this movie is a space movie that on Earth takes place largely at night, except for the farm bits, but like I could really use some color.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, the end scene on Jupiter has a lot of, nice reds and oranges in it, but other than that.
Yeah. I think it would help if Jupiter had a color. If she was like wearing, green or something. That was just like the color she decided to wear, as opposed to like another black leather, like, Matrix reject kind of outfit. But okay. So Eddie Redmayne kidnaps her entire family. And he's like, I have your family. I have a plan. It's that you have to come to my planet and I'll give it back to you. Don't even worry. You can bring all your weird guard guys. It's cool. And she's like, this seems like a good plan. I'll get in his ship and you guys follow me. I was confused in that moment by her choice, and then it was immediately paid off.
You were immediately proven right.
Yeah, I was like, why would she get in the ship with him? And it's like, I guess that's because they didn't want Channing Tatum to be there, because he like slides through the closing portal like Indiana Jones, and right before the big old boulder crushes him, and the good guys are stuck behind the portal, which is so weird. It's like there's a time limit. It's like, oh, you almost got through the portal. You closed the portal. And they're like, damn it, he closed it. I hope we can figure out a way to get through another portal. I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird movie.
Is it a portal, or is it that their ships aren't built to withstand the storm in the big red spot of Jupiter?
So it is that, but I think there's a point where a portal happens, and I couldn't tell the difference in the moment. But yeah, I think that's right. Because the storms in Jupiter are a big thing. There's a whole line of hurricane keeping you from your love of your life or whatever.
Which I think I'm pretty sure is true, that there's constant storms on Jupiter.
There's a lot of stuff on Jupiter. There's storms, there's buildings. It's where we harvest the whatevers. It's mostly metal stuff. A lot of good metal. And so what's his name, by the way? I already forgot. Eddie Redmayne. What's his plan?
His name is like Blattum. What the hell is it?
Bantam?
Balaam.
What is Balaam Abraxas' plan?
His plan is to threaten her family so that she will sign abdication papers renouncing her inheritance. And then he says he'll let her go, but like he's definitely going to kill her, right?
I guess.
He's definitely going to kill her.
But like, I don't know, man. I just don't understand what the law is in this world.
Well, I guess if he has her official signature saying she renounces her inheritance, then it's like, okay, cool. So you get to keep all your stuff?
I guess.
Because her inheritance would just be what she used to own, i.e. what he inherited from his mommy.
Right. But, like, I feel like I don't know. This space law is so serious that all of the characters go, like, bend over backwards to do correctly whatever the specific, body scanned thingy is. But you kind of...
Well, this was 2015, before when we were young and foolish and didn't realize you could simply ignore the law.
I was going to say, yeah, when we thought the norms would save us, yeah. I mean, but it is, like, so... It's just so funny where you go, like... In a world, in a normal world like this, you could just kidnap the CEO of, like, I don't know, you could kidnap Jeff Bezos or something and be like, Jeff Bezos, sign me over the company or I'll kill a single person you care about. And he'd be like, I don't care about people, I'm a billionaire. I'd be like, no, I know, for the purpose of demonstration. And he'd be like,
people are ants to me.
yeah, and he'd be like, okay, there's one. And I'd say, I'll kill them. And he'd say, oh, okay, I'll sign it. And then you just get it. And it'd be like, oh, new owner of Amazon. What's his name? Oh, he's Matt Kelly. What's his deal? He threatened Jeff Bezos successfully, and now he owns the thing. And there's no second step. There's nothing for him to say. It's just like, well, it's just lawless. If you ever were, like, wanted to... Like, I feel like this movie is so antithetically, like, I don't know, like, libertarian or, like, everything will just work out. It's so bad.
I think the two important factors here are A, both him and Titus absolutely going to kill her as soon as she signs that paperwork, so that she can't dispute what happened.
Right.
And B, the fact that they're already the most powerful people in the universe.
Sure.
Is a powerful force convincing people to go along with whatever they say.
That's a good point.
Like, if she did it, then it wouldn't work out because they'd be like, no. Like, I'm just going to deny it later, and people aren't going to be like, this random stranger must be telling the truth.
That's true, yeah. How would they do something like not like how, but why would they do something like that? That's not... that only people we could trust to do that would be our Abraxases. Which also, real quick, I didn't mention this. I don't know how, if at all, this is, like, influenced by Dune, but I know Dune is also about, like, ruling families and whatever. I'm pretty sure the planet they're on is called Arrakis or something.
That is true.
So I was like, it's got to be a thing, right? Some sort of parallel.
I don't know if that's deliberate or not. You'd have to ask the Wachowskis.
Sometime in the next 80 years, we'll know how similar this is to Dune, because I ain't reading that book. But I feel like the parallels will be evident in the movie. Because they also have, like, a magic goo that they drink or something. But I think it lets them see the future. I don't know. how does this like, okay, so then Channing Tatum jumps through all the hurricanes of Jupiter. Jupiter, the character, not the planet, is going to I hope that's how the script was written, by the way. Like, interior, Jupiter, the planet, not the character, is going to sign off her, like, share of her family, or share of, like, the planet to keep her family alive, because the dragons guys are putting them in little, like, chop-up machine thingies that look like Inspector Gadget. There's like a little buzzsaw and a little drill and little lasers. and she has a tattoo on her wrist that she got from the bureaucracy planet. And she has to, like, the ticking clock, or like the thing that we're waiting to see is her to put it at like a 90-degree angle right over this thing, and she's tilting it like it's like 0 degrees, 15 degrees, 30 degrees. Let me see, like, Channing Tatum flying through space. 40 degrees, 45 degrees, 50 degrees, and he just keeps flying, and you're like, she gets to, like, I don't know, 89 degrees and has second thoughts before Channing Tatum skates in and saves everybody. But yeah, it almost works. Eddie Redmayne's plane is pretty good. It's stupid, but it really gets close. But he does explode big time.
Well, he does. She does. I think even before Channing Tatum shows up, she decides not to do it.
Yeah. I just feel like if I'm her, I feel like the character of Jupiter could use something here. Some bit of wily that can get her out of this problem, or at least stall until what's-his-name shows up, you know? Like a little bit like, oh, I'll do a bargain with you. I actually have a good bargain. Maybe she, like, sees Channing Tatum out of the corner of her eye flying in and is like, I gotta stall. Because she just decides to not do it. And then Eddie Redmayne's like, but then I'll kill your family. She's like, I don't know. Just maybe you won't. And then Channing Tatum comes in and does like he has like a weird machine that lets you sneak through walls, which is another part of his kit, that he uses to put a hole in like the glass bottom floor that separates the throne room from the torture chamber.
Now, we did gloss over a very important point between her arriving on the planet and this scene that I think should be covered.
Oh, what is it?
Which is that we learned something very important about Eddie Redmayne's character when they're conversing.
Oh, I can't even remember. Oh, sure, yeah. Go.
Namely, that he creates life and destroys it.
Yeah, that line, man. I wish there was a little bit more. It almost feels like his character is in a movie musical, and that is a song. And, like, I really want to see that song play out, where Eddie Redmayne sings that. Just
like when I said earlier that he has two modes of speaking, whispering and shouting. What I didn't adequately convey in that moment is that he will switch between those two modes in the middle of a sentence for no reason.
I mean, he creates life. That's pretty good, you know? If I created life, I might shout it. Yeah. And this is also where we get our heavy-handed humans are capital method. Or what was it? You already said it before. I can't remember.
No, I mean, I think he literally says, like, that we turn the humans into capital.
Yeah.
Like literally he uses the word capital.
It's good. I mean, we need to learn.
It's good.
They can't tell us enough.
Listen, I think all of human history will demonstrate that you cannot make the point obvious enough
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah. And yes, in the action scene, Channing Tatum fights the big old dragon guy. Doesn't go great for the dragon. He gets his head...
a second big old dragon guy, because it's not Mr. Skelligan, because Eddie Redmayne killed Mr. Skelligan for failing.
In the Inspector Gadget machine that chops you up in a million pieces.
Right, even though he's not a human, so I don't think you can make human slime out of him.
Yeah, I mean, you can make a slime. It's not as good, but it'll get you a couple, you know.
I mean, I guess probably there's some dragon people who are like dragon people aristocrats and want to live forever.
And, like,
right?
I figured the dragon people, I guess I would guess, are people spliced with, like, crocodiles and, dinosaurs or whatever. So there's still probably a little bit of people in there. So you can get that, out of the system, and then you can use that for slime. You don't get as much slime, but you get some. But then, so they have a big fight. So Dragon 2 has a fight with Channing Tatum. There's a bunch of flying around, and it's really it's nothing. But also there's a bit where, like, Channing Tatum is, like, kind of slowly pushing members of her family into some sort of escape pod or something that I thought was kind of funny looking. At one point, Jupiter ascends. Do you remember this? Is that... I forget. There's a point in the movie where she jumps into a tractor beam and literally starts ascending. I don't know if it's near the end of the movie, but it does happen. I think it happens here and then doesn't work, and then she has to figure out a new way to Jupiter ascend. But, yeah, there's a bit...
because she ends up... Well, she gets into a tractor beam, but that's because she falls through the floor. Right? Her and Eddie Redmayne get, like, pulled through the floor by Channing Tatum's floor hole device.
I thought there's a bit where she's going to escape.
Well, then she ends up in her own escape sequence separate from Channing Tatum.
Right, yeah. And she starts, like, falling. Like, she does, like, an Uncharted out of the building, and, like...
Oh, yeah.
It's funny. It's good. I mean, it's fine.
And it's fully Uncharted because there's, like, random explosions and everything, because when Channing Tatum burst through the hurricanes to get there, he, like, disrupted the shield that was protecting him from the storms.
Yeah.
And it's, like, reacting with the refinery, making the whole place explode.
He killed a lot of guys, I would assume.
Oh, yeah.
It
basically destroyed that entire colony.
Mm-hmm. I hope they found out, at least beforehand, that this ended up screwing over Eddie Redmayne, who I assume they also hated. So they were like, listen, I don't love that I'm dying in this, but there's worse. At least we're getting something for the universe. But, and it's like, there's like, she like gets out of a door and then is on a precipice, and then there's like one bar that she can jump on, and then as she jumps off of it, it collapses and she lands on a platform. It's great. Also, Eddie Redmayne at this point tells us that he killed their mother, I think. Which
during the fight,
yeah,
like the final fight part of it, which there's a couple of good bits in this fight, like when she points a gun at him and he's like, "You'll never do it, just like mommy." And then she's like, "Okay," and just shoots him in the leg.
Yeah,
it's like, damn, I liked that.
That wasn't bad. And she gets him too later. Yeah, with the leg bit.
Yeah, she like kicks him in the leg, and that makes him fall.
I want to say she like puts her hand in his leg wound or something.
Yeah, that sounds right.
It's rough.
But yeah, there's after her Uncharted escape sequence, he finds her again, and they have another fight. And while they're fighting, he admits that he killed his mom, but not for like business reasons or for the inheritance. They like got into a fight, and she like begged him to kill her because she was so miserable.
Yeah. Capitalism is bad.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, if that's... He doesn't seem to lie as a character. He's the one that... The other one lies, so I guess that's what the mom wanted?
I guess. I mean, it's supposed to be a kind of callback because the beginning, she's like, "I hate my life." Mm-hmm. So it's like... I guess the idea is all these material things, this like wealth and power that she had when she was his mommy, like didn't make her happy.
Right.
So like that's not what she needs to be happy. Which fits in with the whole anti-consumerism of the movie, I think.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's not very underlined as part of her personal journey. Mm-hmm. And so it feels a little out of nowhere, but it does like make sense if you think about it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Then we get a big old space thingy where it's like, oh, I hope they got on the spaceship in time. Channing Tatum manages to trap. He doesn't like decapitate the lizard guy, but he might as well, because the lizard guy's gonna die anyway. And
I think he like chokes him to death.
Yeah.
Which is actually like much more brutal for him. choking to death sucks.
That's true. Ugh. I mean, that's what a dog would want. I mean, he might as well. He rips your throat out. He'll choke you to death. Channing Tatum hates throats. That's the main thing we know about dogs. And then... Oh, sorry?
I was just agreeing with you.
And then they fly away and through all of Jupiter into the ship, which the lady who's in charge, we haven't really talked about, but is the person who's the grounds person from Avenue 5, who's like, we can't wait any longer. And the elephant's like, or whatever, because she's an elephant guy who's like 90% elephant. They're about to do
quite elephant.
What's up?
He's quite elephant. Basically, his only human part is he has hands and he is human-sized.
Yeah, it's like, I think as the movie progresses, the animal-y people become more animal-y, where it's like, you know, guy that is apparently a dog, and then guy that says he's bee-themed, and then it's like guy with a face of a lion, and then it's guy with the face of the rat, and then it's lizard man, and then it's big giant elephant ears girl, and then it's elephant friend, complete elephant dude.
I mean, I guess it would make sense that the people you send on the secret mission to Earth are the ones that look the most like humans.
Like the guy with the big giant eye thing, and the little aliens. By the way,
well, okay, not them.
The alien camouflage. I really mentioned this. I love this in movies because, like we talked about last week, you weren't here, Diggins, but I mean, you lived it. In League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, the Invisible Man is just a guy who is invisible, who from time to time puts like makeup on himself to make himself visible, but he more or less has like a, you know, you cannot see him unless you are to toss a bag of flour his way. Whereas these guys have that shitty camouflage where you can like kind of make them out if you squint.
Yeah.
Which I love.
I never understand if that's supposed to be like in universe people can see that, or if it's just supposed to indicate to us that there's an invisible thing there.
I think I guess it could be both, but I always kind of assume it works if you're not moving. If you're moving, you're visible. Like,
yeah, that's probably it.
Because I have a feeling that's it. But yeah, then they fly away. And they just make it. Oh my God, they almost didn't make it, but they made it. Now, we have kind of talked about this. It's so weird. Jupiter has just pretty much inherited the universe, right? Like, she's got all the space money, and she's going to give it away, not just because she wants to save her family, which she does want to do, but also because she wants to, like, just go home. She's kind of done with all this stuff, you know?
Yeah. But she doesn't, like, give up owning the universe.
No, she's just doesn't want to have to do it.
Which, I mean, makes sense in the sense of she doesn't want all the people she now owns.
I mean, capitalism, hey, it's not good.
Yeah. To be harvested into human slime.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, hey, as long as I own them and I don't want them harvested, then they won't be.
Yep. I mean, the human slime economy is going to collapse.
Yeah, the universe is fucked.
And like her,
the prevailing structure of the universe is fucked.
And then I think if that happens, her ownership of the prevailing structure of the universe will evaporate, putting Earth in a lot of danger.
Also, like, I have to imagine that the people who profit and benefit from the existence of human slime are probably going to try and kill her or something.
Yeah.
So that human slime can be harvested again. So I feel like the absolute worst place for her to be is on Earth with her family unprotected from aliens.
Still cleaning toilets.
Still cleaning toilets.
Yeah, I feel like if she was in like a super, you know... I feel like the way this has to work is she has to ascend the throne and become like the queen of the universe, or at least like, I don't know, that half the time. But instead she does that none of the time, which is so weird. She just decides to be a superhero kind of and like give that world up. She takes the fun part. She gets to fly on little rollerblades. But besides
with
that,
her new dog boyfriend.
Oh, we didn't talk about this. The Bee-Man, played by Sean Bean. He dies, right? Because Sean Bean dies and stuff?
Does he? I don't think he dies.
No, he does not die. He skirts death at one point. Like it seems like in the bit where he's like kind of redeeming himself, and they have to go through all the little war drone thingies.
Oh yeah,
You're like,
I figured he would die though.
Me too, but he does not. He just kind of, and after that point, he's not really part of the plot anymore. So he makes it out.
Yeah. Also, he betrayed them because his daughter was sick and he needed the cure, and that's why she coughed once in that scene 45 minutes ago.
It's a cruel world that space capitalism creates. You cough once, you're in trouble. And yeah, and then they fly around in Chicago. Isn't that something? He has wings and she has roller skates.
Also, he reveals his full-on bird wings, and she's like, I'm into it.
And like,
she's like, yeah, this makes me want to fuck you more.
He's a dog bird now. Is that a thing? Is that what a sphinx is? I feel like a sphinx is cat, but...
Yeah, sphinxes are cats and usually don't have wings.
Yeah, it's kind of... I feel like sphinxes have wings.
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah. Sphinxes have wings. But they're not dogs. Oh, man. I'm gonna Google this.
I'm Googling sphinxes right now. I mean, the Sphinx does not have wings.
Sphinx is a mythical creature with the body of a lion, most often with a human head and sometimes with wings. So, in pottery,
Sometimes.
in like the Odyssey, if you look at it up in like the Odyssey, he's got some wings.
Okay,
Not
right.
Odyssey, excuse me, Oedipus. But
Oedipus the one who faces the Sphinx?
yeah, he solves the riddle of the Sphinx, but then falls in love with his mommy, just like
You're
this
right,
movie.
you're right.
We got little
Just
baby
like this
Oedipus
movie.
is brother one. But yeah, I don't know what the dog wing hybrid thing is, but I guess he's that. He was never really a dog. He could just smell well. I imagine there's some sort of other animal that smells almost as good as a dog, and it also can fly, and he's closer to that. But that's not nearly sexy enough for Mila Kunis as one. So, yeah. So, and I imagine they erased the memory from her family or something. I don't know.
They must have, because they don't seem to remember. They're not like, hey, what was up with that big lizard who kidnapped us and brought us to space?
It's a big deal. It should be I don't know. I think this is a really weird place for this movie to end.
I agree. It really feels like she can't, given what she wants to accomplish, she can't just go back to Earth.
Yeah.
Like, if it really was her just giving it all up, then, like, yeah, she goes back to her regular life on Earth and is now happy without having to, imagine wealth and power and everything.
Yeah.
But it's like, I am now able to be happy without all the wealth and power I imagined, but also I want to stop trillions of people from dying with my newfound power.
Right. At least
So it's like, well, you can't do both of those things.
At least in the awful Ready Player One movie that I hate, at least in that, he does kind of acknowledge that there's some problem with the system and makes a minimal effort to fix it by turning off the simulation world every couple of days. It's stupid, but the character does go like, but I guess we gotta do something, right? And in this, yeah, I figure there would be some sort of like, I don't know, reform of the capitalist system that is destroying everything, but nah. She got hers, she's going home.
And again, like, I guess the mere fact that she exists and owns those planets means they cannot be harvested, but, like, the assassins are on their way.
Yeah. It wasn't stopping him before, and it's definitely not going to stop him now. But, yeah, I don't know. What do you think of this movie? You think, I think if this hit big, they would have done another one. And they can't even half imagine what it would have been.
I mean, the two leads are kind of boring.
Yep.
And so, like, there are stretches of this movie that are not that interesting. And so I understand if you can't get through it. But I think the flashes of Eddie Redmayne and the gun that barks and space filling out the space paperwork and all of that is fun enough to justify watching this movie.
Yeah, I'd love to see a prequel of just Space Eddie Redmayne and Space Mommy. And
Yeah,
'cause
have Mila Kunis come back as mommy.
yeah, that's the most interesting part of this movie. Jupiter descending or Saturn ascending or something. I don't know what that would even be. But
Yeah, no one ever says what her name was.
yeah, that's true. Huh. But yeah, that's what the movie is. Or that's like the most interesting part of the movie. All the Mila Kunis, Channing Tatum stuff can, get on the back burner. I just want to see more space palace intrigue and business tattoos and whatnot.
Yeah, I don't want any Earth in a Jupiter Ascending sequel. I want it all to be in weird space where people keep saying words I don't know the meaning of.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like... So I thought about this. If this movie was in a different thing, right? Like, let's say... So Channing Tatum is playing a character who is a space dog man or whatever, with, like... Who is some sort of partially... Like not like deputized, but, like, was part of the space police. I was thinking, could you retrofit this movie into some other, like, DC or Marvel franchise and have a movie where, like, Channing Tatum or a Jason Momoa type plays, like, Lobo the Bounty Hunter or something and build the movie around that? And I still think you'd run into the same problem as Green Lantern, where it's, like, the most interesting things happen in the part of the movie that is not more than half of the movie. Like, you need to get to the space stuff immediately, much like Green Lantern, although this movie spent way more in space. But still, it's like, that's the movie. And I get it, it's expensive. But yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, they're doing another Matrix, and some people like Sense8. I don't know, maybe I'll watch Sense8. If people tell me that it's great, let me know.
Sense8, great.
Sense great. Send me, here's all I want. Tweet me at Nando V Movies, although, you probably have put like a period in front of at Nando V Movies because I want this to trend for some stupid reason. Just hashtag Sense, SENSE, GR8. And that means it's great. And then if it's bad, send SENS, GR7. That means it's less than great and worse. Yeah, whatever. Either way, great movie. Jupiter Ascending, easily the worst Wachowski movie. Except for the Matrix ones. But I would like to see... I'd be interested to see what you think of Cloud Atlas. I think Cloud Atlas at least has enough stuff that really works that I enjoy it as a movie. But
I would also be interested to see what I think of Cloud Atlas.
I'm pretty sure it's also on HBO. Or maybe not also on HBO, but it was at one point. But the movies
I watched this on Netflix.
Shuffle a million times, yeah. It's good. It's got Tom Hanks, Jim Sturgis, some sort of terrible makeup Jim Sturgis that you should probably skip if you can. But a lot of it takes place in a retirement home and on a boat. And that stuff is pretty fun. I think I having done Speed Racer and this, I think Speed Racer is just so much more of a thing than this in its successes that it makes me go like, there's something here, but it's just, this isn't it. But hey, man, we're getting to Matrix 4. The Wachowskis are back at it. I mean, and I think that's coming
back at it again at the Krispy Kreme.
Well, and that's coming out pretty soon. I think they moved the date on that up to like mid next year. Yeah, everything moved back except for that move forward. Maybe like about this time next year, but still like surprisingly soon. So we will see it eventually, probably. But yeah, so that's great. Besides that, Dickens, do you have anything to recommend to the fine people?
I do, in fact.
Oh, I love it. What do you got?
I'm going to channel DJ this week because I have 2 recommendations.
Oh my God. Is one of them something I've already recommended or you've already recommended?
Unfortunately, no. But unless you wrecked this last week because I haven't listened to the podcast yet. So I guess it's possible that one of you wrecked this.
The minefield is active. The space warhammers are out. Shoot lightly to fly through them at heroic speed or whatever. But what do you got?
The first thing is something I spent most of my weekend doing, which was playing a video game.
Oh.
This game's actually, in a sense, it's been out for a while, but it was in early access, and it only just had its full finished release like a couple weeks ago.
Interesting. What is this?
So it's called Hades.
I've heard of this. Okay, what is this? Because a lot of people have been talking about it.
It's been very popular. It's like exploded on the internet, so you've probably heard of it or are already playing it. So you don't really need me to recommend it, but I'm going to
No,
anyway
no.
because I'm having a great time with it.
I need it recommended at least with some context besides people tweeting I am playing this Hades game. What's the pitch?
So Hades is a roguelike, which means it's a game where you're meant to like you go on a run through like the levels of the game, and you're expected to at some point die, and then you go back to the beginning. But like some of the things you collect you can use for permanent upgrades, and like characters you meet and things you do like affect the story like on those runs. So it's not like just an old video game where you die, you go back to the beginning, you do it again. And also the levels are somewhat randomly generated. Like there's clearly like, tile sets and such that are preset, but like the order, what enemies show up, what rewards you get for doing them, etc., is random each run.
Is there like a theme to this game?
Oh, there is. I'm just describing the mechanics now. The story itself is also quite good. It's called Hades because it's set in like Greek mythology. You play as the son of Hades, Zagreus, and you want to escape from the underworld and go up to the surface, ostensibly to join the rest of your family on Olympus, although the story unfolds as you play the game. And Hades, your father, does not want to let you do that. And so he has sent he sets all the shades in the underworld and all of his minions. Anytime you try to escape, they're what's trying to kill you.
Ah, okay.
But the way it works is because you're in the underworld already, and you're the son of the god of the dead. When you get killed, it just means you pop up out of the river Styx back at home, at the beginning. So that's the justification for it being a run based. But yeah, so every time you go back to the house of Hades, which is what it's called, you talk to the people who live there, Hades, the goddess Nyx, who's your stepmom basically, Achilles, who's your trainer, some of the Furies who work for Nyx, and one of them's your ex-girlfriend.
Oh, which one?
Well,
I guess we'll find out.
She's called Megara, but which I don't think is an actual name of one of the Furies in Greek mythology, but maybe I'm wrong.
Is that the one from Hercules?
She's not meant to be that person.
Oh, okay.
But it is true that the mythological wife of Heracles was Megara.
Yeah.
But that was the one he murdered, so...
Right. Is that... So you're Hades' son, which makes you... Poseidon's nephew, which also
the one of the bonuses you get when you go on a run is boons from the Olympian gods who are trying to help you escape, and they'll talk to you when they give you their boons. And so Poseidon will be like, nephew, it's good to see you. They want you to come up and join them because you're family,
right? So then that means are there levels? Because I know it's Hades is from the underworld, and Poseidon is earth, and then Zeus is the clouds stuff. Is it just you get out of Hades and you're good?
It's just Hades, but there's levels to Hades. You start in Tartarus, you go up to Asphodel, and then Elysium. So there's different areas.
So your goal is to rise up through the world to get to Zeus, i.e., ascend to Jupiter.
That's correct.
You're playing the Jupiter ascending game.
That's what I've been doing.
You couldn't run from it. It was gonna come get you no matter what.
Yeah, it was fated. This was meant to have then to be.
That's great.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, it's the gameplay's great. It feels so much fun to play, and then the story part of it's also really good, which is good because it means a lot of people get frustrated with the death based gameplay of roguelikes where they feel like they constantly have to start over.
Right.
But this is fun because when you die, it just means, now it's time to get more story and talk to all these cool characters. So it doesn't feel as bad.
Is there a kind of game you would say this is like?
Rogue?
Yeah, like
It's a roguelike?
I don't know what that is though. Like, what's like any other
Right,
games like that are like?
Let me think. Games you might have... Spelunky is a big recent roguelike.
Heard of that.
What else?
I don't know what it is.
Let me think. Let me Google roguelikes and look for one you might have heard of. I'm sure there is.
Right, there must be,
because it's a big genre, and it's been fairly popular lately, like in recent years.
I figure
Dicey Dungeons, Dead Cells,
no.
Enter the Gungeon, Darkest Dungeon.
Enter the Gungeon sounds cool. Do they all have guns or something?
Yeah, your main weapon in that is a gun.
That's my kind of game. What are your weapons in this?
Well, you have several different ones. You have a sword. You have
sure.
a. Let me. Hold on.
No, that's good. I'm assuming a bow and arrow also comes into play.
There's a sword, a spear, a bow and arrow, a shield, gauntlets for punching, and a gun.
Oh, the gun is the best one.
I actually really like the gun.
Nice. Maybe I'll play this. It's on, you said it's on, I assume Steam?
It's on PC and Switch.
Oh, is it all JRPG?
Did you ever play Toe Jam and Earl, the original Toe Jam?
No,
and Earl?
I've never played that. I've heard of more than the rest of these, but no, I've never played that.
Okay, well, that's kind of a roguelike.
I'll look into it. I'm looking for a new game, something to kill time in these difficult times. So
I very much recommend it.
Cool. What's the other thing?
The other thing is a TV show that's only just started. It's only 2 episodes in right now, but I've been enjoying it a lot. It's called The Good Lord Bird.
Oh, I think my mom was telling me about that. What is that?
So it's on Showtime, and it's based on a novel, but it's basically telling the story of the last couple years of John Brown's life.
Who's he?
John Brown. John Brown was a very committed radical abolitionist in mostly active around the time, like a few years before the Civil War. His most famous act, which was his final act of his life, was he tried to stage a slave revolt in Virginia at Harper's Ferry. He was not successful, and so he was caught and killed, executed for doing so. This was like in 1859, so this was like right before.
Oh man, yeah, just wait a couple of years, buddy. No, it's. I'm sure it wouldn't have worked out exactly the same way, but yeah,
he became kind of a martyr once the Civil War started. They had a song called "John Brown's Body" that was about him. That they sang as like a war song in World War II, in the Civil War.
Maybe they sang it in World War II as well. Just
possibly.
It made its way into the playlist. War songs.
And the tune actually eventually became the Battle Hymn of the Republic, which is the song you think of when you think of the Civil War.
Oh.
Anyway, it's about his life. It's about like the last couple years of his life. Like it starts with him in Kansas during Bleeding Kansas, which, if you're not familiar with American history, was when Kansas was becoming a state. They had a referendum on whether it should be a slave state or a free state, which became a very violent struggle as slaveholders tried to force abolitionists to leave the state so that they would win the referendum. And some abolitionists, like John Brown, fought back.
Huh. Who is in this movie or show?
Ethan Hawke plays John Brown.
Love Ethan Hawke.
Which I love Ethan Hawke also. And the fun thing about it is John Brown, as a very committed radical of his time, they play him as essentially being crazy. He's very religious. He's very, very committed to his cause, and he's very much not entirely with it. Which leads to a lot. It's a surprisingly funny show because of that. there's a lot of like comedy bits based around, even though it's about like a bloody struggle to end slavery. There's just a lot of comedy they wring out of how deranged he can be.
Nice.
But yeah, it's been a really fun show so far. Daveed Diggs plays Frederick Douglass at one point.
Daveed Diggs, the hero of Hamilton, who's the one that isn't the guy from Hamilton. The one from other stuff who can sing and rap and stuff. No, I don't know.
Well, he doesn't sing as Frederick Douglass.
Lin-Manuel's fine. But yeah, I really love Daveed Diggs.
No, he's really good in it. It's a great casting choice. But yeah, it's just a really cool show that I think is quite relevant right now.
Why? In our troubled times?
Yeah, I think for our troubled times, a story about a man who held a cause that we can now look back on and be like, yeah, he was right about that. But like, was very deeply and violently committed to it in a way that can cause discomfort is very interesting.
Will I watch it and be like, I wish he was sticking to the norms, you know? I wish he played by the rules. I like this guy, but I don't like his value. Like, I like his values, but I don't like his methods.
I can imagine a person who watches this show and says that is what I will say.
That's a good way to watch a show, is not to be those people. At least one about abolitionists, but I get it. It's, some people don't, completely. It's complicated. I mean, I've heard great things about this show. Specifically, I love Ethan Hawke.
I mean, it's worth watching alone just for the Ethan Hawke performance. It's really, really good.
I wish I had Showtime. I don't think I have. I definitely don't have Showtime. I barely have HBO. But I'm sure I'll figure out a way to watch the show eventually. Because, you're the second person in a couple days that just told me to watch this one. So, and I also just bought the Hades game. I really want to play it. So
it's really good.
Downloading as we
like
speak.
It a lot.
Cool. I want to recommend. I got two things as well. I don't think either of them have come up with the show. So first one, good thing. I watched a show called Los Spookies. Have you ever heard of this, Diggins?
Oh yeah, that's a great show.
Yo, that's so funny. So me and Hannah, we were trying to be like, let's watch something that's like got the Halloween spirit in it. Let's find something that's on the like not horror, but not like scary. And we went through HBO's recommendations of whatever.
Something spooky, perhaps.
Well, yeah, and like the other, like last weekend we watched Hollow Man. I wish we watched Hollow Man. We watched Invisible Man, which is like that, but I had already seen it. So, and I didn't want to watch like Hill House or any of that stuff. I wanted something that just had that vibe. And on HBO, there's a whole section like of the application in HBO Max dedicated to like horror stuff. So it's like horror movies, and I immediately skipped that, kept going down. It's like old horror movies like The Plow, and it's like, I don't know. And then it was horror shows like Lovecraft Country, and I was like, I don't know. And then for some reason, I want to say fourth on that list of possible rows was Halloween costume ideas. So it's like The Matrix, Austin Powers, and I was like, oh, that's cute. But then under that, it was like other, and there was a show called Los Spookies, which I recognized one of the guys in it, and I was like, oh, that's, what's his name? That's Julio Torres, who I think is so funny. And I've seen him do comedy on like the internet a lot. And I remember hearing that he had worked on some sort of show or something. And I watched it, and watched 2 or 3 episodes. Loved it. So fun.
Oh yeah, that show is really, really good. I actually I watched this on a plane ride back from Germany, I think.
Oh.
Because it was one of the options available. It was I went in October, so maybe that was why. And I was just like, I'd heard of it, I think, and I knew Julio Torres was involved, and I also think he's very funny.
Yeah.
So I was like, why not? I watched like the first episode on the plane, And I was like, well, this is really good. So when I got home, like over the next couple of days, I watched the rest of it. And yeah, that show is very entertaining. It's this really kind of surreal comedy where it's like everything is like strange and kind of like it's like there's this supernatural world, but also like nobody cares about it.
Yeah, the characters do things as if they know what's happening sometimes, and the show treats it as if it is a thing that we should understand it. We do because of the visual shorthand of a show like that, but it is mundane in the sense that no one's like, wait a second, what's that lever do? What are you actually doing? They're all just like, I'm doing it. It's hard, but yeah, I figured it out. And you're like, oh, cool. Or a character will like look at a pendant or whatever and see a thing, and it's bizarre.
I think the best way to describe the vibe is that the main conceit, which is that a guy who loves to make like horror practical effects starts a horror group with his friends, which is just people hire them to make spooky things happen. Like a priest hires them to fake a demonic possession to do an exorcism. And just like everyone around them is just like, I mean, yeah, this is a thing that people do and a thing we can hire you to do. And like no one questions it as being odd.
And they go in the back and they plan it out. They'll have meetings about it. Then they get in the back and just pull wires and levers and things happen. And you're like, what the fuck is this? Like, I remember that was my thought in the first bit. I was like, oh, okay, so there's like wires or something. And then they pull another lever and I'm like, well, that's not a wire. And then you just kind of go like, I guess there. And I guess the main, like, to piggyback off what you're saying, like the pitch of this is, what if the people that are in the back of the Scooby-Doo house that are like just pulling wires and making spooks happen, what's it like for them to do that and kind of plan that out? And yeah, I think Julio Torres is super funny. Everybody else super funny in it. Like,
I love Tati.
Tati's amazing. Yep.
So weird.
And like Fred Armisen is in it, although not, at least so far. I mean, I'm only 3 in, so I think I can see where things are going. But he's there, and you'll see him on the box or whatever, or like the cover for the show on HBO, and be like, oh, Fred Armisen. But like, that's not the guys are the minds behind it are the other 4 kids, and it's in Spanish mostly.
Yes.
So get used to that.
Pretty much except for the Fred Armisen bits, the whole show's in Spanish. Which is cool. There's a joke about, they all have wildly different accents because all the actors are from different countries. Or their families are, at least, for some of them.
That makes sense.
So, like, to a Spanish listener, you listen to that and you're like, why are they all talking so different? What is happening here? So they like make a joke about it, like I forget what it is exactly, but there's a joke at one point about like why Tati talks so weird.
Oh,
which doesn't make sense unless you know Spanish and realize she has an accent that doesn't fit anyone else.
Where does the show take place?
It's in Mexico, isn't it?
I thought so, but I couldn't I couldn't prove it to myself enough to remember that was. But does Fred Armisen also live in Mexico?
No, I think Fred Armisen's in L.A.
Okay, cool. That's what I thought. I just wasn't sure. And yeah, the person I was watching with, we were both like pretty sure that was what was going on, but weren't positive. But yeah, that show, awesome. Really funny. And if you don't have time to watch a whole show, Google Julio Torres on like YouTube, because he's got lots of like stand-up bits on like Fallon, and he's got a very like, deadpan, dry Mitch Hedberg kind of thing, but it's super funny. Love him. Beyond that, so that was the good thing I watched this week. And then obviously I watched Jupiter Ascending, which was stupid. But both nights I was like, let's watch something. And on Friday it was, let's watch Jupiter Ascending, because I got to watch it for the podcast. And then on Saturday it was like, I've heard, or we were just going through the horror stuff. We found this, and it was great. We watched 3 episodes of it. That's like an hour and a half. So we watched another kind of movie-like thing. And after both of them, we were like, I'm like, I love it, but I'm a little exhausted. I need something that's a little light, something that's a little like, the the fast food or even like the dessert of television. So we watched all 8 or 10 maybe episodes of a show called Emily in Paris.
Oh my god.
Have you watched it?
I haven't watched it, but I've seen the Twitter discourse.
It's terrible. It's the worst. But it is fascinating. I am so compelled by it. I don't know what the Twitter discourse for it is. What is the discourse around it? Just that she's the worst person ever? And everyone else
basically just what you're saying.
Yeah, like it's so weird because you watch it and it's basically, for people that don't know, it seems like a version of Sex and the City, kind of like there's a woman who works for an advertising company, one of those like made up jobs where she like does advertising and social media and marketing strategies for different companies once a day. And she works for a company that is run out of Chicago, this was the Chicago thing that I was mixing up with deep dish pizza. But out of Chicago, and then her boss, who was supposed to go to Paris, gets pregnant and cannot go, so she is supposed to go in the boss's place. Now, Emily, I don't know this actress, but she is young, 20-something, in Paris, doesn't speak a lick of French, has no bearings for the city, but just goes because she's like, I want an adventure. And she falls in love with the city and has a lot of funny troubles at work, also falls in love a bunch or whatever. But the most bizarre to me, besides all the falling in love and all the Paris work conceit of the show, is that Emily in Paris, the name, is the name of the Instagram account that she starts. She is able to, in 2020, or like let's say 2019, just grab Emily in Paris out of the blue and start Instagramming as a random white girl pictures of the Eiffel Tower and grab a follower base of 20,000 followers. And she becomes an overnight sensation, and she is the greatest social media maven that ever was. Mm-hmm. And that part of it is hilarious.
To be fair, I've been to Paris, and very few people take pictures of the Eiffel Tower.
It's a real shame because it's very pretty, and Emily in Paris does a great job at documenting the Eiffel Tower, that one river,
the Seine.
The Seine, probably. Yeah, I think that's it.
The
bridge.
River that runs through like all of Paris, especially the city center, the most popular and touristy part of the city.
For sure. Yes, that is it. And also,
no one takes pictures of that either.
She takes pictures of herself eating not a baguette. No, a baguette. Herself with like stuff like that.
Okay, I'll admit I didn't do that.
Yeah, so like you missed out. I mean, this is why you didn't get why Diggins in Paris didn't trend number one with Macron's wife or something. It's fucking insane. But so besides the fact that part of it is just kind of funny, I'm just like, I wonder, because there's a part of me as someone that spends all of their time on Twitter and barely any on Instagram, but like I know, similar, just like what do people that are adults, clearly, like way too old, think that this is like? Like, what do people think the job of a person on Twitter or Instagram is? I find that fascinating. Beyond that, I find it fascinating to just hear adults write for children. And that's what this is. It's just all kids being like super clever and adults being super mean. It's, this girl, Emily, everyone hates her except they all love her. She's so popular and so beloved by everyone in France except for one or two people. And there's certain points in the show where she's like, France hates me, wah, sad face. Like, she posts a picture of France crying or like rain. She's like, France is crying today. And I'm like, dude, it's going great for you. I don't know if you've ever started a job, but it's awesome. But beyond that, this show moves at a clip I've never experienced before. Like, it is like Batman v Superman in terms of just, we're not getting establishing shots, but we are. In this we do. But it's like establishing shot, a building, a party. She goes into the party, waves at some people, meets a guy. He says, "You're very pretty." And she's like, ha, 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 ha. And then establishing shot. Like 5 hours later, the river. And then they're walking and he kisses her. It's insane. You're like covering so much ground in one episode that it's hard to look away because it's like they took a 20 episode show and trimmed all the fat and just got her falling in love, crazy business nonsense, sass from her coworkers. And I don't know. It's bad. It's very bad, but it's fascinating. So watched all that. Can't recommend it, but I can't not recommend it. And if you watch it, I get it. And it does not end in a threesome like you kind of hope. I'll tell you that right now. It's real upsetting. Because it's French. It's a ménage à trois, right? Why wouldn't it? But it doesn't.
That's true.
Yeah. That's all I got. Diggins, next week.
Next week.
So we're getting movies again, by the way. We haven't talked about that, but like New Mutants has a release date on VOD.
Does it, though?
According to it. But also so does Tenet. Tenet has a December release date, so eventually we'll do that.
Oh.
But I wonder what the next thing will be, what people want us to do next.
There's no big release for next week that we could do, right?
No, assuming he stops being the king of space, DJ will be back.
Right.
So
DJ decides to give up his Space Emperor life to go back to being to cleaning toilets
and skate around Chicago once every so often. But yeah,
right, with his Dogman boyfriend.
Exactly. But we could, I don't know. I mean, we've gotten a lot of good suggestions from people. I mean, we could do Cloud Atlas if you're going to watch it.
We could do Cloud Atlas.
It's a weird one, but I like it more than this. And I wouldn't mind watching it again because I haven't seen it in a while. I don't know. We can leave it up to DJ. We'll text him.
Are there any dogmen who have guns that bark?
No. The future section where the dogmen would exist is the bit with the horrible prosthetics. There is a Hugo Weaving, I believe, in drag as a nurse type figure, evil nurse. So that's kind of fun. Besides that, though, I honestly can't remember too much. It's got a catchy song and a couple of people that you might recognize from other stuff. Tom Hanks and Halle Berry is in it. Oh yeah, there's like another weird. It's weird. It's a weird movie. But maybe that. We'll see what DJ says. If he has a better idea, we'll probably go with that. Because I think other movies are coming out on like Netflix soon too, and stuff. That are just like Netflix original movies that might be worth talking about. Because that's how it goes. And, there's going to be like, we have that. We have like the WandaVision show, Mandalorian's coming back. All kinds of great stuff. Diggins, do you have anything to plug to the fine people?
Nothing for now.
Well, you know what? This was what I was thinking. We could do some sort of horror Halloween adjacent thing. But not Hubie Halloween or whatever the fuck that is, but something else.
You mean like seminal classic Hollow Man?
Ooh, maybe. The movie where they actually do kind of try to figure out how to kill an invisible man. They figure it out, kind of. Not really, though.
The only good Invisible Man adaptation.
So far. I mean, we haven't made ours, but as far as we know, this is the best one. I mean, I'd be interested to see what DJ's thoughts are there, but I mean, I haven't seen Hollow Man in quite a bit, but it does exist. It is a movie people can see. Although I guess we're trying to skew towards movies that are available on VOD, or like not on VOD, but on one of the millions of streaming services. I wonder where that one lives. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we don't got to commit right now.
Yeah. But keep your ear to the ground on our Twitter accounts or whatnot. Speaking of those Twitter accounts, I am at Nando V Movies on Twitter.
I'm at This Is an Odd Name.
And that is all we got. We will see you next week. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye. We love you.